I know we're live.
Just making sure you know.
We're live. Hello, everyone. It's never going to end. She's going to laugh at me for.
I am, because now I know the reason that you don't, that you,
All right. All right.
I can't help it. Now I
All right.
know.
All right.
Hello, guys. Hello,
Hi,
everybody.
everyone. Hi.
Hello, hello,
Hello.
hello. I'm glad you guys are all here because this is really important topic that we're talking about tonight.
It is.
So I'm glad you guys came.
It is an important topic. I don't think that people in this community realize how important it is. I feel like um, someone's recovery has become YouTube fodder. And I mean, it's getting like really out of hand. I think that if you want to throw tomatoes, if you want to call someone an idiot, even, the C word, which I hate, but, if you want to do that, fine. But when you start bringing up things like, are you a crack, that person's a crackhead, that person's a meth head, those people over there all are drug addicts. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And meanwhile, we have actual people in this community that are going through recovery now, are recovered addicts, whether it be alcohol or pills or whatever their choice of drug was. And I do agree, it's out of hand. And we have people that think that's funny. I really don't understand the amusement of it all. Like I said, call people names, but being in recovery is not something that you should be joking about. And then when people say things like, I don't really think that person's in recovery, I think they're using. I got called a crackhead last night by
Nice.
our lovely Corey, Wendy and I both, because we're doing this live stream. She thought it was about Laura. It has nothing to do with Laura, although Laura, is a part of it because she is a creator on here and she does say things, silly things like, we're all professionals over here and the other side are all drug addicts. Well, I'm not a drug addict.
Well, how could she possibly know that? There's no, come on. And I hate to tell her, but, not everybody over there is professional and not everybody over here is a drug addict. And how do you know that your professionals aren't drug addicts? Because they very well could be.
Well, and that's a good point that you brought up. I did a little investigating on my own, did a little research, and some investment bankers on Wall Street, they're using Adderall because they need to, get that edge on and they need to keep going and going and going. It's the most abused drug being used on Wall Street. So they're professionals making a lot of money, but yet they're using Adderall, right? So you can be professional, you can be a millionaire. If you're a millionaire, you're probably using cocaine because that's a really expensive drug, right? So to say that professionals are not drug addicts is ridiculous. Yes, the Wolf of Wall Street, duh, exactly, testicle. So yes, and I'm sure there are surgeons and there are nurses and there are all kinds of professional people who unfortunately do get caught up in drugs. But the problem is on here, we need to stop using it as a way to lash back at someone. There are many other ways that you can lash back at people. Like I said, call them stupid, idiots, whatever, if you don't like them. But don't go at their addiction or don't call them a junkie. Now, if a recovering addict wants to refer to themselves as a junkie, they can, right? But you can't. You can't. That's right. Addiction does not discriminate. And people who say things like my children are perfect and at least my kids are not on drugs, you don't know if that could ever happen. You can't foresee what comes in the future and what could possibly happen to your child. So be a little bit more, be a little bit more kinder. And of course, none of these people are going to show up in here tonight because they think that this is not drama, but this is part of what they do. They do it on a daily basis, and it's getting completely out of hand. It's getting completely out of hand. So we are going to, um, this is a serious topic. So we are going to have Sarah Indipity is going to be up here. She's going to be up here talking. We also have someone that I am not going to say who they are. They want to remain anonymous. They've been in the community. That's all I'm going to say. They are coming up here anonymous, and we're not going to let you know who they are, but they are struggling right now. they're struggling right now
Wow.
with addiction. So I think that people need to hear this so that when you're, throwing those punches at people and calling them addicts, there are people right now that are struggling. So if you think that you can't trigger someone by the words that come out of your mouth, you can. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're responsible if that person decides to use again. But of course, if you're going to trigger that person, right? Why would you continuously trigger someone that you know is a recovering addict? That makes you look pathetic. I'm sorry. It's the only word that I can come up with. Uh, so I think what also, ATX is coming up. Miss ATX, she had a struggle with both pills and alcohol. So she had a double addiction. All right. Now, I don't know, how many people, what the percentages of people who are addicted to painkillers or, opiates. I don't really know much about, I'm going to be honest with you, I don't really know too much about addiction other than the addiction that my own sister had, which was alcohol. I really don't. I don't know the difference between an opiate and a benzo. I really don't. So, but the most important, yes, Quinny, yes, not to mention the ones of us who have lost our kids to drug addiction. So it's really a sensitive topic, and I just don't understand why it's being used by some people on here as a way to throw a dig at someone. I don't know. I wish these people that are doing it, and they know. I mean, I could call them all out. I have screenshots. I could do that, but then that would turn this into a drama stream, and then we'd have a bunch of people over here saying, "I never said that," or "She said it to me too." But there are a lot of guilty people on both sides. Let me just say that. I hate using the word sides, but that has kind of been put out here. So yeah, there are people on both sides who have done it. Hi, Emily. I emailed you, by the way, on that whole situation. So if you, when you get a chance, get back to me and we'll talk in the future, in the near future. So I'm going to get the links out to, I think the best way to do it, because there's 3 people that are coming up. I think the best way to do it, what do you think, Wendy? Should we have one up at a time or?
I think we can, start with one at a time. We can just add people in.
All
Don't
right.
you think?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So let me,
I think that, getting back to your, while you're doing that, I'll just say what I
okay.
was going to say. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Next, one of our moderators is dropping the National Mental Health and Substance Abuse phone number for anybody who wants it. I'm hoping that she'll continue to do that throughout the night.
Well, I also put a number that's going across the screen.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that. Yes. And then there's Sin dropped another link. Good. I love that. Thank you guys. People use this because, calling them an idiot or a bitch or whatever isn't enough. They need to go deeper and harder than that because they can't, they don't have any truth or facts to come at. So they have to come at whatever is your weakest, area. And if they think that that's a weak area for you, then they can attack you there and you will back off. That's the idea. That's the idea.
Yeah.
And that's why they do it. I guess what we're asking for, I mean, I don't know the goal of tonight, honestly, other than to share these stories and to support those of you that are in recovery and, how can we take care of you as a community, etc. I don't know if we're going to be able to influence anyone else to stop doing this. I hope so, though, right? I mean, isn't that the goal?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's part of it is having people, real life people who have real struggles. One who's struggling right now, one who, both, the other 2 are in recovery. This is, this is their life. So they should be able to come onto YouTube without someone saying, I don't really think she's in recovery. I think she's still using. Based on what? Are you a doctor? Are you a specialist? I mean, that's what I am kind of hoping that people will stop using drug addiction or any kind of addiction to go at someone because you don't like them or you need something to say to them that's going to hit below the belt. By the way, I put up another emoji that has sign language. Is that the correct one for friendship? Can you check?
Oh, let me look.
Yeah, look, because I think it is. I want to make sure it is.
Oh, not really. That's more like interpreter.
Ah.
That's more like the sign for interpreter.
Oh, okay. Well, you're an interpreter.
I'm not, but okay.
Okay.
I'm not an interpreter, but that's right.
All
It's
right.
still
Well,
cute.
all right. So, well, then find me one. Find me one. Find me a
All
better
right,
one.
I'll try to find you friend. Friend is it almost looks kind of like a handshake, but it's just your pointer fingers. So
All right. Well, find
your
it.
two pointer fingers are locked together, and
Okay.
then you flip them around. So like your right hand is on top, and then it goes to the bottom. Your left hand's on top, then it goes to the bottom. So it's like so it's your two pointer fingers doing that.
Okay. Well, if
I'll
you
try to
can
find
Google
something
it,
that looks like
Google
that.
an image. Try to find me something that's colorful that we can see, and send it to me, and then I'll
All
resize
right,
it.
I will try to find something.
Okay. So, hi, Sarah.
In the
Hi,
meantime,
ladies.
hello, Sarah. How are you?
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm
Good.
glad you're here.
Yeah,
My
we are
husband's
glad
with
that
me
you're here.
too.
Oh, nice. Mr. Dippity.
Mr.
Hi.
Tiffany.
Great. He's here too. Hi.
Yes. Hello. Nice to meet you.
Hello.
Well,
Thank you.
his
Nice
name
to meet you too.
his name is Brandon. It says it right there, Sarah and Brandon.
He
So
doesn't go by
hello,
Mr.
Brandon.
Dippity.
Yeah, I don't
I'll
think
take
so.
All
that
right.
too.
I thought that was a good one.
Well, it is kind of cute, but
It works.
I
It
like
works.
Yeah.
it works. Mr. Dippity.
Mr. Dippity. It's cute.
Yeah, so I am glad that you're here. I guess you heard what I said in the beginning of the stream, that
did.
for education, but as well as telling people on YouTube who think that it's funny to take jabs at people, who have admitted and who have been brave enough to come up and tell their story, about their recovery. The more you tell on YouTube, sometimes the harder it is for you here, because you want to be honest with people and you want to share something that's important in your life, but then they use it against you.
Right. And that's what's sad, that, you share something that's a part of you that you lived through, and then they try to use that to hurt you. That's sad.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, can't we just stick to, you're a liar, you're an idiot, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And what, even the C word, although I don't like to use that word, I have, if people want to use it, by all means use it if you're going at someone. But, dope heads and meth heads, crack heads, junkies, the list goes on. I think that needs to be completely taken off of here, because I think I don't know if you heard me the other night. There's a YouTuber. His name is Nick Snyder. He has two pretty big channels, and because he has this little tiny channel calling him a meth head and this and that, and it's all showing up in his search, he's having a problem when real sponsors, not like someone who's going to actually pay you to talk about their product for 2 minutes, and they're going to pay you a large amount of money. They're not going to work with him if people keep doing that, because he did have an addiction. He was an active addict at one time, but he's in recovery. So these kind of things are slanderous and they can hurt you. So I just don't understand why people do it. I don't know. I could think of a lot of other words I can call people, if I'm really mad at them. But again, this is what we have on YouTube. So
I think across the board, one of the big things I see online is that hurt people hurt people. So you
Right.
see people that are making fun, calling names, whatever. It's no excuse, but typically when someone tries to do that at her or at myself, I kind of just try to remind myself that that's someone who's probably pretty miserable and probably trying to drag me to their level.
right,
I'm
right.
good. They can have all the misery they want. I'm very happy in my life. So that's kind of my spin on it, is I try not to give that people that much power in my life. It's not always that easy.
Well, you just described our entire community. So yeah.
I've heard a couple things about it, just here and there. I've heard a little.
We're all pretty miserable around here, sir.
No.
Bunch
that's
of
what
miserable
people
people.
No, it's the ones that will go for the jugular and attack in the most mean way that they can, because they just don't have it in them to do it intellectually.
Amen, girl. Amen. I have said that so many times.
Yeah, and that
I've said that
drives
so
me
many times.
nuts.
Yeah, same.
Because their words actually hurt people. It might
Like,
not
come at
hurt
me with facts. I want
Right.
facts. Don't come at me with insults and slurs. Come at me with some facts. And they can't. They can never do it. So they result to body shaming, and now they are resulting into addiction shaming. Like they just go as low as they possibly can to hurt somebody, and
absolutely.
it's intentional. It is intentional, and that's the problem that we want to stop. We want to stop that around here.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard people come at me with, "Oh, you're a junkie." Well, yeah, I was. It was a part of my life, and I'm not ashamed of that because, I made it through it. I lived through it. I'm very proud of that.
Amen, girl.
So,
You should be. Yes.
yeah, I mean, we have a good life today because we don't use. We've learned how to work through it. We've learned how to use the tools that were shown to us to be able to not use today, and that's a God gift. That's God's gift to me.
11 years ago right now, I was 2 months out of prison. I had no friends. If I walked into a room and my mother was there, she'd start crying because everyone told her that I was about to die. But I was in recovery then. I didn't know I was going to stay sober. I had no clue at the life I was about to have. But let me tell you, that's a different person. When I describe myself at active addiction, it's like I'm telling you about someone I met. I went to prison for stealing from my own mother.
Wow.
That's how bad addiction had got for me. There's definitely different varieties of some of the negative things we can do. But at the end of the day, to sit here clean with a life, a wife, a home, cars, way too many poodles, kids in the bedroom, Pop-Tarts, life's pretty good. A lot of my friends didn't get to do this. A lot of my friends didn't see 25. A lot of my friends, I'm talking guys I played Pee Wee football with are no longer with us. Guys that, were funny and handsome and had everything going for them. They're 6 feet under. And I had issues with that. I had issues with survivor's guilt for years. But for some reason, I get to be here. And I'm not going to sit around and worry and wonder about what someone else thinks. I'm going to try to live the best life I can and try to be a positive person and continue to help others because that's what I've known to work.
Yeah.
So Sarah, you and your husband when you met, were you both in addiction or?
I was actually
I was actually her counselor.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you were a counselor. Okay, so you were already clean in recovery.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of frowned upon in the therapy community.
I was going to say, are we allowed to talk about that little piece of information or no? Are we skipping over that? We're skipping over that. That's okay.
No, it's okay.
Fine. Trust me. I'm very proud of who I'm married to. I fell in love in a heartbeat. I literally, the voice in my head said, that's the girl you're going to marry. And I've been very blessed ever since then.
I love that story.
I took a lot of flack and got in a lot of trouble, but it
reprimanded everything
worth
else.
It every day of the week. Best pancakes you'll ever have, Anyway, point being that there were a few people that told me not to get with Sarah. They're like, she's new, and I knew that. I knew she knew recovery, but
I was afraid I was going to steal your TV.
Yeah, because one guy got his TV stolen. So he said, that one guy that brought that girl home, she stole his TV. Well, she didn't steal my TV, which is good. Thank you, honey. But the big deal is that we were able to have a relationship, not just with each other, but in recovery as well. I'm not her sponsor. She's not my sponsor, but we talk about addiction recovery all day, every day.
Yeah.
It's our lives.
Yeah.
When I used drugs, that was a lifestyle. I did that every day.
Yeah.
So now that I stay clean, it has to be the same way. And it's something that's big in our conversation.
And it's worked for us for over 5 years now. Yeah. And it's a beautiful thing. And, it's proof that people can be together if they're recovering addicts. It can work. You got to work at it. But
oh, absolutely. And there's days where I probably kept her clean and there's days vice versa.
Absolutely.
That's just how it goes. We have that I don't want to lose the life I have. If I use drugs tonight, my whole life will be gone in about 2 weeks. I've done it before. I know how quickly it'll go. Wow. No amount of money, property, prestige will matter. Everything must go when I use drugs and drink.
Same with me.
So with Sarah in my life, I don't want that. I want to grow old and sit on the back porch and drink coffee on the swing and those kind of things. That's important to me. So, and she has her own stuff that she wants to do in our relationship and our lives, and staying clean has to happen. She uses same thing. So we are kind of a support system. We're not our only support system, but
It works.
It works. We found something that worked, and I mean, I absolutely, I would not trade my life with anyone, and that's because I love the person I am and the person I'm with, and because of recovery. Recovery gave me all of those things.
So
And
let me
it's
ask you a question.
Okay.
You're in recovery now for how long?
I celebrated 11 years this past January.
Okay, congratulations. And you,
Thank
Sarah?
5 years.
Okay, so let me ask you about the word trigger, the trigger
Okay.
word, because I know that, we've talked about this a little bit, that, even though people will come at you on here saying, you're a dopehead, you're a crackhead, you're this or that. And people say, you never know what that person's day is like, and you don't know where
Right.
they are in their life. But ultimately, of course, someone can push you by saying these things to you, but ultimately the person who decides to use is the one that's responsible. So
Sure.
how do you feel about that? Do you think that just takes that person off the hook if they've been, taunting you and taunting you and taunting you, and then, you have a weak moment and you relapse? Do you think that the person who's been doing that to you has any, plays any, part in this? I mean, I don't even know how to explain it right, but I do know that someone who told me, oh my God, Kim,
Um,
oh wait,
Go ahead.
hold on one second, Kim, please don't come in here and try to derail the stream, because I'll tell you what, I don't know if Wendy has ever called you a drunk.
I'm sure I have long time ago. Why
long
are you
time
even
ago.
bringing that up, Kim?
But you know what, Kim? I will say this. There were a lot of people that were calling you a drunk.
Because she would
Constantly.
get on panels and she would be intoxicated. So of course
Right.
people did.
Right.
Yes, they did. You would get on panels all the time. You were clearly intoxicated.
Right. And we know
So
that
yes, the entire community would talk about that. It's a
Right.
true statement. There, see? It's a true statement. There it is.
Okay. All right.
But I haven't said anything about that in a long time. So I don't know why you're bringing that up right now with your eye rolling emoji. Kim, I've not done a damn thing to you.
Yeah.
So
And
you're
you
not
know
going to
what?
derail this stream because you're in here with attitude. Knock it off.
And the thing is that, Kim, that I always hated that. You know that I always hated when anyone in this community, and it was really before we even met the people from the true crime community, that I hated when anyone said, "Oh, it must be 5 o'clock somewhere." It's
Yeah, I never
5
called
o'clock
her that. I
somewhere,
never called her 5 o'clock somewhere. I've never called her any of that. But I have talked about her being intoxicated on stream before. I have. And you told me that you didn't like me using that word, and I stopped. I haven't used it since. So that was all how that came about. Like, once you told me that you didn't like that word, I stopped using it here. Like, I stopped calling her that. And that was months ago. Again, that was so long ago. I don't understand the purpose of bringing that up right now.
Sure, it's longer, but yeah, I mean, Wendy just said that she has, and there are other people that have called you that too. I never.
The entire community did.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
All right.
hardly just me. Anyways,
All right.
let's keep going. We're not going to
Okay,
derail.
so let's keep going. So, back to the trigger words.
Sure.
Is there a time when you're feeling like, what do you do if you get to that point where you feel like maybe you watched a movie, or there was a smell, or a
Sure.
certain food, or something that made you think back to the time that you were using? Does that make you vulnerable? Does that make you feel as though at any point that you might ever want to use again, if something bad happens? I mean, what
Sure.
would trigger an addict, a recovering
So
addict?
in anything, if I'm new in recovery and my eyes are open, I'm triggered because I'm
Okay.
not used to a reality without my chemical. Now, I've been really blessed. I've worked the steps. I've been able to maintain a program, and I have lost the desire to drink and use. Addiction does not come at me with drugs and alcohol anymore. It loves coming at me with pizza and cupcakes.
Okay.
Or anger, wanting to lash out at somebody, those kind of things. Ultimately, I'm responsible for my recovery. Nobody can get me drunk. Only I can. No one can get me high. Only I can. Now, what do I do when triggered? The biggest tool I've used is to separate myself from the situation. Maybe I'm online, like I play video games online, so maybe someone made me upset. I'll say, "Hey guys, I got to run for 10 minutes. I'll be right back." separate myself from the situation. I go to a quiet place and I say a prayer. And what I was taught to do, and this has worked for me, it might not work for you, but it's worked for me. I was taught to pray for the person that triggered me. Pray that they get what I want. So if someone's made me upset, I pray that they get happiness, long-term recovery, continued financial success, joy, all those things.
And your sponsor, how'd you do that?
Yeah, he had me do it with a guy that really upset me at work, and it friggin' worked. He said, you're going to do it every day until I tell you to stop. And literally within, I think it was like a week and a half, 2 weeks, the next time I saw that guy, I realized, oh my God, I don't have this resentment. I'm not triggered by him anymore. I understand that he's another human being and hurting, screwed up, upset, whatever. And I put myself in that situation. I put myself in that video game playing with that guy. So if I go back every day and he keeps doing that, that's my decision to keep going back. Addicts and alcoholics are gluttons for punishment. Sometimes we go to pain because it's being restored to a normal condition. We're used to pain or being upset. So that's easier sometimes. It makes sense. Plus, addiction loves that. Our brains love it. They want us, the addict mind wants us to be upset, crying, frustrated, angry, because then we're vulnerable. Now, like I said, these days, I'm hitting the kitchen. I'm not going to the bar or the dope house. And if there's a cake here, which, well, I got one of those wives, so ultimately it's for me, it's about separating myself from a situation, saying a quick prayer, sometimes a long prayer, and then deciding, do I even want to go back into the situation? If I decide to go back, maybe I need to do that again. And then if it's continued, that's when I get a hold of my sponsor. Then I would start talking to Sarah about it, my other friends in recovery. Say, hey, I'm having some anger with a person here. Hey, I'm struggling with fear at work, whatever the trigger is.
And that's what you have to do when you're triggered. You have to tell on that so you don't become vulnerable to the trigger and use again.
Because then it's ours. It's not just my fear anymore.
You're sharing it with someone else, so you don't have to keep that within you.
So even if I'm not with my spiritual higher power, I'm still with a power greater than myself. Because me alone, I'll drink. I don't know how to handle that. But if I've shared it with Sarah, I've now shared it with you guys, that is a power greater than me. What I can't do alone, the group can do together. That's the idea. Trust me, there are plenty of times where I just head straight to the kitchen. There's no prayer. There's no calling nobody. I'm just going to go get a bag of chips or whatever. I'm on a diet right now, so food's been my big topic. So, with someone that's still using, oh my God, I just, my heart goes out to you. Or someone that's struggling right now, we'll definitely be praying for you and hoping for you.
Okay. As a matter of fact, Brandon, there is someone that I'm going to be inviting up on a stream who is, she's going to remain anonymous because that's
Sure.
her wishes. But she is currently struggling right now.
Sure.
She's in active addiction.
Okay.
So maybe I should bring her up here because I'd like to have her come up and talk about what she's going through, and perhaps you and Sarah, and then I would also bring up Miss ATX because she's a recovering. She was an addict. Her addiction was also pills and alcohol. So the person that's anonymous, I think that she's struggling with both, but I think it's more of the alcohol issue because I feel like with all of your experience and your years of being sober, all of you combined can probably assist her in what she should do. So let me keep talking. I'm going to send out those links to have them come up, and let's see what we can do to help her. We're just going to call her Anonymous, by the way.
Miss Anonymous.
Oh, awesome.
Yes, Miss Anonymous. Okay.
I think it's great that you guys do this.
Yeah, it's absolutely awesome that you're being selfless enough to help people that need help, and, bringing awareness to others that, this is something that can be hurtful. This is something that goes on in people's lives, and they don't need to be ashamed of that.
And I think it's way more prevalent in our community now than even we realize. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing everybody in the chat, everybody in here seems like their life has either been touched directly or indirectly by addiction. And their stories, you know, are heart wrenching. Like I'm reading some of these stories in the chat that people are saying, and they're being so brave about sharing them. And I'm, you know, my heart is broken for everybody who has, you know, lost somebody. And
Oh, Wendy, it's hard. I
it's
still
heartbreaking.
have, you know, sometimes I do get triggered. You know, my mom, she died in front of me when I was really young. And then I
Oh, I'm so sorry.
struggled.
That is awful.
That's okay. It's been a
I'm
long time. And
sorry.
I came home to take care of my grandparents, and they both literally died in my arms. And so
Oh my
it's
gosh.
been, and I still live in the house, you know, that I was born and raised in. So
Yeah.
um, the memories get to me sometimes. So I struggle. I do. And I try to tell on it, because if I don't, I'll use. And that's so unbelievably true. I've relapsed before. I've not stayed completely sober. I've relapsed when I was about a year clean the first time.
Yeah.
You know, with my grandmother passing, it really hit me hard. And
Yeah.
it's a struggle, you know. Sobriety is not easy. It
Right.
takes a lot of work and a lot of love. It's, you know, whew,
And one
Yeah.
thing that I wanted to add is typically it's a family disease.
yeah.
So if there's an addict in the family, everyone's affected. It's not just, well, you know, so and so has this illness and we're going to get them help. Usually it takes a lot of years for an addict or alcoholic to find recovery.
Yeah.
Me myself, I've been to rehab 5 times, I've been to jail 4 times, and I've been to prison once. The
Wow.
same thing they told me in my first rehab was the same thing they told me getting out of prison. Same story, same message.
Yeah.
And thank God I was in a place where I was beat up enough that I was willing to try it, and it worked. For
Thank God
me,
for that.
oh yeah, and for me on my dad's side, everyone died from addiction except for me and him. He died 2 years ago. He was 8 years sober.
Wow.
Yeah. So I mean, literally since as far back as I've talked to people in my hometown that knew that family very well. My dad kind of kept me away from aunts and uncles and stuff because of addiction. But my grandmother died of an overdose. Both of my dad's sisters. I have some cousins out there right now that aren't doing too well, and it's a family disease. It has really run rampant through my family and my hometown. But recovery is possible, and that's really ultimately what we're here to say: is it is possible to lose the obsession to drink and use and find a life that you love.
And there's some amazing people in recovery that becomes basically your family,
Yeah.
your family away from your family. And they are such good people. I hear people say a lot, oh, well, drug addicts are trashy, or they're this or that. No, they're your judges. They are your police. They are your neighbors. You never know who's an addict. It doesn't discriminate. It gets everybody from every color, every age. You know, it's not just trashy people that become addicts. And I had to learn that the hard way, because I hated being called a junkie the first, let's see,
6 months, a year.
yeah. And I couldn't handle being called that. But, you know, the longer I stayed sober, the more I was like, wow, yes, I was, you know. And I'm okay with that today, because I'm okay with where I'm at. I'm very happy with where I'm at. And it was a part of my past. So I can't deny my past.
Absolutely. And it made you who you are today, right? I mean, isn't that
Oh,
what people say?
absolutely.
What do you say to people, or do you say anything to people who are struggling to get motivated to get clean? Like they don't want to yet. I guess they just haven't hit their bottom yet. Is that what you would say? Or
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, anytime I get sent to someone. I mean, a couple times a year I get put in front of someone who's kind of on the fence. And my big thing is, are you done yet? You know, are you done ruining your life and your family? That's kind of my question. I try to do it in not such a harsh way, but there's not a
yeah,
lot that can be done. Not every addict and alcoholic hits their bottom alive, and that's really difficult to understand and handle. So the
wow,
deal is, you know, I've worked in treatment on and off for 10 years. So basically, I'm the guy they bring in when they're looking at treatment, because I'm got buddies all over the country that work in different treatment centers. So that's kind of my, do you want to at least give this a shot and see if maybe not hating yourself and drinking yourself to death or taking drugs and wanting to die every day, maybe this could be a little better. I think addicts and alcoholics often don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
They just
you're right.
Can I
go like
interrupt
this into the tunnel.
Can I
Please.
interrupt for a minute? The person that I want to bring up, she's never been on before, and it's telling her, because she's using her phone, to open in Safari and copy the link, but it's not giving her a link. Does anyone know how to help her that's used their phone to come up here?
Well, when I've done it, I just click and follow all the links, and it takes me right to it. What's it telling her?
It's telling her. It says open this page. When she hits on the link, it says open this page in Safari to use StreamYard on this device.
So then you open it in Safari, yes.
And it says copy. It says no Safari icon. Follow these steps. Copy the page link. Copy link. Open Safari. And she's saying that there is no link.
She needs to open Safari.
Okay, that's the browser, right?
Yes, open Safari.
Open. Okay.
I think Breaking the Silence just said that she needs to put her phone in desktop mode.
I've done it without doing that, though, Breaking the Silence, so maybe she can do it. I think I've done it without putting it in desktop mode.
Okay, let's see if that works. All right, I'm sorry, but I want to get her up here because she's the person that's in active addiction right now and needs some kind of help. All right. So listen, in the chat, let's try not to time out anyone unless they're being really disrespectful. If they're asking a question and it's maybe not coming out right, don't time them out.
There was a question in there that says, how do they deal with the pain and the emotions? I was just going to touch on that real quick.
Please do.
Unfortunately, time takes time. Not everything's going to heal overnight. And trust me, there's a couple nights where I tossed and turned and had white knuckles just holding my blanket and just sweated through the night. There are plenty of those nights. I haven't had one in a long time. I hope I never do. But the first year is pretty emotional. It was to be honest with you, I cried every single day. And sometimes I didn't even know why I was crying. I would cry in like a dog food commercial. I'd still every now and then, like a silly stuff, some movie or something, I'll start crying. But that first year was a roller coaster. And I went to meetings. All my social activities were with people that were sober or clean. And once you get involved in a good group of people in recovery, they won't leave you alone, man. We played cards. We went a lot of stuff that I thought was so lame and boring. I was 23 at the time. And a lot of my friends were in their 40s and 50s. And I'm like, bowling? Like, we're going to go bowling. But I would go, I'd go and have a blast. And I didn't think about drinking or using. And we got through the night sober. And the holidays, oh my God, that was another big one. And that's always kind of a big one for people that are new in recovery. Same thing. They said, hey, we're going to go to a meeting at noon and we're going to go to a meeting at midnight. And you're going because you're newly sober. And I went. I didn't have anywhere else to be. So kind of worked out. And just being around people in recovery, there was definitely just some stuff of just the energy that sober, happy people bring.
Sharing the pain with like a sponsor
absolutely
helps tremendously. Sharing the pain with somebody that cares about you absolutely helps because they can tell you their story as well. And so you guys both help each other. I don't know, talking through pain helps a lot.
There's an old saying I've heard it for a long time, and it's, if we all threw our problems in the middle, you'd probably take your own back. And
I've heard that before. Yes.
Yeah.
I totally believe that, actually. I really believe that.
I try to subscribe to that thought all the time. Anytime
I
think, oh my God, taxes or whatever I'm upset
taxes.
About. Yeah. 10 years ago, I'm getting out of prison, now I'm worried about tax,
Right.
But I forget. I'm an addict. I forget. So it's just one of those things of, I got to remember there are little kids out there right now with nothing to eat. There are people out on the streets tonight with nowhere to go. And no matter what little thing upset me or got me frustrated,
Somebody has it worse.
somebody has it worse, and things are going to be okay. And sometimes I need to hear that. I
Yeah,
need to hear
absolutely.
everything's going to be just fine. We just
Yeah.
got to hold on. So.
Okay, hold on just 1 second. Miss Anonymous, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Your camera is on,
Yeah, but we can't see you.
but we cannot see you. So
We just
just,
see
I
what-
don't know if you want to just make sure that you maybe shut your camera off, or there you
Okay.
go. There you go.
Okay.
back.
Can
it
you
back
hear us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Thanks. For
Okay,
having me.
great. All right. I need to test that because sometimes with StreamYard, it gets a little bit wonky, and I want to make sure that we can hear you and you can hear
Oh,
us.
yeah. Can you hear me too?
I can.
Okay.
Can you hear Sarah?
Hi, Miss Anonymous.
Yes.
Okay, great. We're good. How about that? We got 4 people up here. It's actually working.
We did it.
Yay.
All right. I wanted to ask a question before we, get some assistance here from Miss Anonymous. Do you find it, is it typical for people who say they're a recovered addict or in recovery to go at other people and call them dope heads and drug addicts and things like that because they say, oh well, I used to be an addict. Is that something typically from your experience that people who have suffered with addiction who are going through recovery, because every day is a new day of recovery, do you find that typical for recovering addicts to do that?
Oh yeah, that's kind of the big insult. That's the big one, and that's why they're using it. I see it all the time. Oh, that's a crackhead, that's a meth head. This guy's no good. He's a drunk. Whatever. I don't know why people latch on to that. I do my best to never do that because I've seen the damage it can do.
Okay, Kat. Sorry.
It's all good. And I had there was a lady in our group who didn't get along with some of the other ladies. They made fun of her a lot. And she ended up taking her own life. It's about 6 or 7 years ago. Was it their fault? I don't know. All I know is that they made fun of her, and she's not. A child doesn't have a mother anymore. And to be honest with you, I watched a lot of that. I didn't intervene because where I go to meetings, the men typically stick with the men and the women stick with the women. They try to keep that around here the best they can. Doesn't always work. But after that experience, you won't see me gossiping about anybody I go to meetings with. You won't see me making fun of anybody I go to meetings with for that very reason.
And we don't call people those names because we know what it can do.
I saw the result of it.
Just because it didn't bother us doesn't mean it wouldn't bother someone else. And so, we try to stay humble and just not say those kind of things because it is mean and it's so hurtful.
You can call me a junk. I'm proud. Like I said, I'm proud, and that's because of the life I have today and a lot of the work I've had to do to get where I'm at. But in terms of calling someone that's new in recovery, in terms of calling someone who's maybe not comfortable, I got buddies that also are anonymous. I go to meetings with. I know what they look like, but if I see them on the streets, they don't want me coming up saying, "Hey, did you like the meeting last night?" They might be at work.
That's why it's anonymous.
Exactly. So I do my best to respect that as well. So if I'm out high-fiving with a guy saying, "You're my favorite drunk," or something like that, could really impact his life. So I try to keep those things in mind. But yeah, that's something I do my best. Trust me, I've done it. But yeah, after I had that experience a few years ago, you won't hear me say those things much.
Okay, I was just curious because there are people that claim to be in recovery, but they're constantly calling other people drug addicts, and they can tell exactly what drug they're doing or whatever. Like, I just don't get it. I would think that if you're in recovery, that it's a struggle every day, and that you would have, I don't know, more empathy for other addicts. I don't know.
And that's the thing. Some people take it serious and then some people don't. So they're more loose with things they say, or maybe they're not even in recovery at all. Maybe they're just lying. There's one person in mind that I don't really believe that likes to call people, junkies or meth heads. And I think that's so wrong. But I'm a firm believer in karma. So.
All right. Well, that's a good answer. All right. So All right. So Miss Anonymous, I know this is difficult for you. You've never, number one, spoken on a panel. Number two, um, this is something that you just shared with me, and I didn't know about it, but I do feel like you want to talk about it. So you told me that you're struggling with both addictions, but I think from our conversation, it's a little bit more of the alcohol. Am I correct with that?
No, it's primarily alcohol. I don't know if my
Oh, it's
wording was,
primarily.
yeah,
Oh,
it's
okay. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's just primarily alcohol.
Okay, so all right. So I'm going to just ask you some questions based on. I can only ask you questions on based on because my sister, was an alcoholic, and unfortunately, uh, she never went to any kind of um, rehab, anything. She just continued to drink for years and years. So have you ever tried to go to any 12-step program, Alcoholics Anonymous, anything like that?
Um, so just to give like a little back history, 25 years ago, when I was first in college, I drank too much, but at that time, I thought it was just a college thing. It's just what we all did in college. I mean, maybe not everybody, but there was a lot of it happening in college. So, and I got into some legal trouble then. And so at that time, I did go into AA and another alcohol education program. And I stayed sober then for 9 years. And then, so that was like 25 years ago. So let's just say the last 15, 16 years. For the most part, I've been sober up until the last, I'll say about 4 years ago, I started to struggle just a little bit. And then the last year has been as if though I never stopped.
Okay, so you have been in rehab before, in recovery. So is there a reason why you're finding it difficult now to, maybe not reach out and get back into some kind of help, or is there
Yeah,
something that is stopping you from doing that?
yes. Life is just different now. I was younger then. I really, you know, I won't say I didn't take it seriously. I certainly did because I entered the program and had 9 years sober. So I definitely took part of it seriously. But now I carry a lot more shame than I did then. Back then, I felt like I was doing what most people my age were doing. I just happened to get in trouble. Whereas now I carry a lot of shame. I come from a very professional family. Everybody around me just nobody partakes in anything like that. They think it's shame, a very shameful thing. They would look down upon it. Um, it's not easy. A lot of people say to reach out for help, but for my circle, that's not easy.
So, are you drinking every day? Are you working? Like, I know the word functional alcoholic comes to mind because I've heard people say that. So, is that what you're doing?
So I'm not drinking every day,
Okay.
but when I do drink, it's into an extreme excess,
Okay.
um, like to the point of blacking out,
Mhm.
and it's increased in frequency. Um, like where I said it started to get really bad a year ago. At the start of that year, it might have been 2 to 3 times a month. Now it's getting to be 2 to 3 times a week or more.
Mhm. Okay. So, Sarah and Brandon, is there any advice that you can give Miss Anonymous with what's going on now? I mean, I guess it is really hard when you have a family, the way you've explained it, where you can't just reach out to your family. I think a lot of people probably do feel that way. I would say that a lot of people who become addicts do come from very, proper or well-to-do families, and it's a shameful thing to go to your family because they just can't, they don't know how to tolerate that. I mean, I've seen it even in movies. I hate to be corny, but you've seen that in movies where if their child, they don't even want to accept it that their child is an addict because it's embarrassing to the family. So, Sarah and Brandon, do you have any advice for Miss Anonymous?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, great.
First of all, Miss Anonymous, I want to congratulate you. You just worked step one. You just admitted you were alcoholic and that your life has become unmanageable. Most people in my family and most of the guys I grew up with never got to step one. But you just did it. You just admitted to us and all these people listening that you got a problem and you're struggling and you don't know what to do. Congratulations. Now you got 11 steps left. You're going to need to do those with a sponsor. That's my experience. Now, finding a meeting that fits your schedule, finding a support group that fits your schedule, finding something online, whatever that takes to go finish working the 12 steps could save your life. It could work again for you. And I'm sure there's a part of you that does too. It's just, like you said, it's different now. So it's a matter of how much pain do you want to be in? Are you ready to get healthy? Are you ready to get back to finding some happiness in life? And I mean, obviously you're struggling or you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be talking about it. Was it about taking that next step?
Well,
If you were physically addicted, that's when you have to start talking about detox treatment, those kind of things. Sometimes that's not always possible to do at home or even safe to do at home.
The shame.
I'm definitely ready for help. It's just this like dealing with it in silence and not being able to tell my family kind of complicates things a little
The
bit.
shame.
And I know that I've watched YouTube videos about it and other types of support videos, and everybody always kind of out yourself and tell your family. That's not something I can do. So
Okay.
whatever I do, whether it's find meeting in person or online, it's something that I have to do.
If you're,
that part scares me.
oh, of course, it's very scary. One of the things, if you're ready to quit, one of the things you have to do is change the people, places, and things and get away from the alcohol the best you can. And if you can go into some type of treatment, maybe that's what you need to do to help you. You know what I mean?
Yes. And in terms of changing people, places, and things, like I have no one in my life. I drink alone. No one in my life drinks.
Yeah.
It's not part of like my family, my social circle, my friends. Like this really is a secret aside from my husband. He knows, but he's not. That's a different story. But he's the only person who knows. And it's only because he's had, to find things. But in terms of people, places, or things, there's nothing to change in terms of like nobody around me encourages me or influences me or puts it in front of me.
You're okay. So I'm the first person I ever got drunk with, and I'm the last person I ever got drunk with. I'm my biggest trigger, my worst enemy. I'm all of those. I'm just like you. I get it. I drink alone and I don't share.
Yeah.
Do you have to, here's what's about to happen. And you already know all these things. This is going to get worse. This is a progressive chronic disease. It will get worse. It'll find a way. It's a matter of how much pain do you want to be in before you take the next step in recovery. And when we've talked about, that could be a lot of different things for you, online, in person, whatever. That's kind of what you need to sit with. Let me just say this. This is the biggest thing that ever helped me was what someone told me the following. You need to figure out what you're not willing to do to stay sober. Maybe write it down, maybe text it to yourself, email it to yourself, and then look at those things and start working on them. Because if I ask you, what do you got to do to stay sober? You know the answer. Get a sponsor, work steps, do service, go to meetings, rehab, help new women in recovery. You know those answers. Anyone who's been around recovery knows it's like the story of Christmas. We all know it by heart. But you need to look at what you're not willing to do right now. And you don't have to figure that out right now. And then start working on those things. Why am I not willing to do this to get sober? And then maybe to find those answers, it's going to take a meeting, therapy, prayer, meditation, whatever your path may be. Does that make sense?
No, it certainly does. And I could answer right now what it is I'm not willing to do, and it's to tell my family. Um, that's
Great.
my biggest.
Okay.
So.
Can I interrupt for a minute? Someone in the chat, Anita Backrub, said when she went to rehab, she wrote each family member a letter, including her grown children. She couldn't face them. And the only one that knew of her addiction was her sister. So she kind of was, in the same kind of, predicament. But I understand what you're saying. It's something that you feel like you can't do. Is there any family member that you have that you could entrust this information to, that you could talk to?
Yeah, there really isn't. I mean, if I got into a little bit more about my family situation, it would give you a little bit more identification into who I am. So I don't want to talk too much about my family dynamic, but no, there isn't anyone.
Okay. Well, we got to find you a family you can talk to then. It's great to have a blood family that loves us and we love them, but like you're saying, that's blocking you from maybe making some progress in sobriety right now. So you're going to have to find some women in your life that maybe have the same experience. They couldn't tell mom, dad, sister, brother, kids, whatever, hey, I've got a problem. I need to go to these meetings. You know the rest. So I think it's important just to consider trying to find some women online or some women for you locally that you can start developing relationships with, so you can find that person who's got the same story as you, because trust me, they exist.
Mandy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can now. It's working.
Okay, Mandy is here. She was having a little problem with the audio, and she fell out. So I just wanted to make sure that you could. Can everybody hear Mandy?
I can hear. Can you hear me, Mandy?
Yeah, I can now.
I can hear.
It worked. It was a Wi-Fi thing. I had to restart it.
Okay.
She sounds really low though. Is there a way to be louder?
I'm gonna try plugging the headphones in again and make sure that last time that's what was making the sound not work. But let me try it one more time. It should.
You just
work.
sound
Oh
low.
no, that sounds good right there.
You sound good. You sound good.
You
You're very
sound fine
clear.
right there. Yeah.
There's no
Okay.
static. There's no noise up here that you
Okay,
typically get
yeah.
from being on a phone, which I'm really happy about.
Me too.
Okay.
Miss Anonymous, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you think that maybe you don't want to tell your family that you have this problem because you're afraid that they'll use or think badly of you or not talk to you?
It's not so much that I think that. I know their strong opinions on stuff like this. I have my family, like I said, are all professionals. They're all very much, like when it comes to depression, they don't believe in medication. They just believe in you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. They don't believe in any like self-help type stuff. So I know that they would think poorly of me only because of conversations that we've shared over the years about other people who've suffered, maybe not in the family, but outside the family.
Can I share something really quick with you?
Sure.
I come from a family of professionals too, middle class, whatever. And I was an addict for a really long time, and I didn't admit to what I was doing to my family, but I had to. There came a point that I had to. And they turned their back on me. They really did. And, they took me out of their trust. My own grandparents refused to speak to me. My father was just, it was a bad situation, but they loved me enough as their child, their granddaughter, that, once I got help, they came back into my life, and I didn't have to live with my life getting worse. Sometimes you gotta say, you know what, they might be mad at me here for a while, but they're my family. They'll love me. They're never going to stop loving me. They might be mad at me, but you know what I mean?
Consideration to that. Yeah, I have given consideration to that. And I think like my first step is getting the help. Unfortunately,
Right.
Not unfortunately, but necessarily achieving that on my own. And then perhaps after I have some tools, then discussing it with them because I feel like right now, if they turn their back on me, if I told them now and they turn their back on me, I wouldn't have the strength to follow through.
And that's
So I
what's
think
keeping you from getting sober. You know what I mean?
I think I need to get myself into a program first and then gain some tools and talk to them.
Absolutely. And don't let that shame, guilt ride you, or, bother you so bad that you're never going to want to get help, because guilt can eat you alive and the shame can eat you alive.
Yeah, I definitely want to get help. I'm prepared to do that. I just know that I'm going to have to do it like initially without their support, without them knowing. I'm going to have to figure out a way to do it without them knowing initially.
Right.
And maybe that's best. Maybe it is time it's your recovery. It's your disease. It's time to do something about it. And sometimes it definitely feels like we're walking into that first meeting alone. It feels like no one's going to understand. But once again, I just thank you for sharing with us. I like I said, I've been around addiction my entire life, and the stuff you're sharing can be really hard to share with people. I just want to thank you for sharing with us, really.
And I wanted to comment on, before I came on, there was a bit of discussion about, throwing ugly terms towards other people like junkie or drunk or what have you. And I know that I myself have been guilty of that, so I can't speak to that aspect of it other than I know it's wrong. But I can tell you that being on the other end of it, I know that it only makes that person feel more shameful if they are struggling.
Yeah.
So when you're throwing those comments out there to people, they really could possibly be struggling.
Mandy, you've been
Yes.
you've been on the end of that where people question your recovery.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So how do you feel about that when that happens to you?
So it's fun. When I kind of told everyone that I was in recovery, a few years ago, I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know if I was going to, be called names or not. And I wasn't at that time. But as soon as, for a while when it suited people, then they started using that term. And any term that you can think of, I've been called. I'm going to be honest, I don't like it. Because I am all those things. All those words that describe me, I am those things. I have a disease that I guess all those terms apply, but it doesn't define who I am. And that's hard sometimes to let it roll off. But at the end of the day, that's like Wendy was saying earlier, that's a go-to insult, because really, what do people know about you? Your profile picture, so they know if you're big, little, ugly, cute, whatever they know. So they got to hurl insults at you based on what you know. And then so you share that, it becomes a playground for people to use it against you. But I don't like it. I'll be totally honest. I don't like it. I don't like it.
So Mandy, you had both an alcohol addiction and pills, right? Pills was
Yeah.
the other thing that you were addicted to. So were you using pills and alcohol at the same time?
No, ironically enough, when I got sober off alcohol, it was March the 1st, 2012. I knew that I had like a tendency to love anything that changed the way I felt. So I knew I stayed away from opioids for probably about the first 3 years that I was in sobriety from alcohol. But at some point I decided, because my jaw hurt and this and that I was able to successfully take them. So I wasn't, but the only thing that I didn't do was drink again, because my brain was convincing myself, oh, you're sober. You didn't drink. The doctors prescribed this to you. So I didn't drink because I had that pride that wanted to hold on, to whatever humility I had left. But the most freeing thing that I ever did was finally admit that I was absolutely an addict. And I kind of took that weight off my shoulder that I was not doing anything wrong. But the alcohol, I will say this, the drug use took me further into hell than the alcohol did. The alcohol is bad. It's real bad. the drugs really took me straight to hell. So I mean, I say, if I'm in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, I'm only an alcoholic. If I'm in a meeting that's open, I'll say I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict. But when I'm at AA, I just say an alcoholic because it's part of our traditions.
Okay. So do you have any advice for Miss Anonymous with this situation? I mean,
yeah, the first thing that I always say to people when, they decide that they need help, this and that, the first thing is I always encourage them to get medically evaluated, because if they do need to detox safely, and not, not seize, then that's my number one concern, is that they get medically treated for the addiction. But having said that, I also am, I'm completely able and willing to take people to meetings and things like that. But that's always my first concern: get medically evaluated. And then, it's, the audio problems were bad, so I didn't get to hear like how bad is it drinking every day, Anon?
Oh, did you ask me, do I drink
Yeah.
every day? No.
Yeah, I would get back with, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Like the stream is like really cracked up for me, so I'm trying to make the best out of what I hear. But no, it's not every day. It can be several days consecutively.
Right.
But it's several times. It has increased. Like what I initially said was about a year ago when it resurfaced, it was about 2 to 3 times a month, and at this point, it's about that every week.
Okay.
I mean, and that's on average. Other weeks it could be 4 to 5 times, and other weeks it might be 1 to 2, but on average it's 2 to 3 times a week. And when it's those 2 to 3 times a week, they're generally 2 to 3 consecutive days.
Right. So is there when you take a first drink on these times you're drinking, do you ever only drink what you intended, or do you always you can't guess how much you're going to drink or where it's going to stop?
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. When you do drink, I know you said it's like several times consecutively or whenever it is. When you start drinking, is there any predicting how many you'll have or what will happen?
Is there any predicting what will happen?
Like how many, do you know when you start, do you ever intend on just having one and you don't? Or that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, do you?
No, I usually drink to get drunk.
Okay. Yeah, that was my main question. That was the biggest thing that I had was, I was definitely an alcoholic chemically, any way you can think about it. But I also had this thing called the obsession of the mind, where I thought about drinking constantly. When am I going to drink? How am I going to drink? Am I going to drink today? Am I going to, how much, and it was constantly. I planned my life around it. Is it cracking up a little bit?
Yeah. Do you have did you try putting in earbuds or something?
Yeah, I'm gonna try it again.
Yeah, try that because it is crackling a little bit on your end.
Let me try it.
Try that. So Miss Anonymous, you said that you have blackouts, right?
I do, and I guess I should back up a little bit on when I said I drink to get drunk. That doesn't mean there aren't times where I tell myself I'm just going to have 1 or 2. Say we have, like an event that day. I would tell myself, okay, just 1 or 2 before the event, but that never works out. But generally speaking, when I start drinking, my end goal is to just get drunk.
Be numb.
Do you
Is that better?
Yeah, it sounds a little bit better now.
Okay.
Miss Anonymous, when you drink, like if you drink several days in a row, right? Do you ever get then wake up the next day?
Uh-huh.
Do you ever get any kind of like withdrawal or shakes or anything like that? Do you ever get into a situation where if you don't drink, you don't feel well? Is it at that point ever for you now?
I don't get the shakes or anything like that. But I will say I'll have that following day, I just don't feel good. You know, like I'll feel like I'm getting sick, but I don't get the shakes or anything like that. Like I'm not to that point. I just don't feel good.
Okay. Well, you don't want to get to that point, because if you get to that point, then
Right. Of course.
yeah. Um, right. Because I know, I mean, I can only, like I said, I can only go based on what I know happened to my sister, and of course the man that she lived with. Unfortunately for him, I was able to figure out for him more so than even for my own sister, that when he got to he drank every day. He would wake up in the morning, like when my sister was in the hospital, for instance, the doctors would tell me that they could smell alcohol on him. So he would wake up in the morning, and the first thing he would have to do is drink to get rid of his shakes, to even be able to get to the hospital to go see my sister.
Right.
So that's, that's like a kind of point that I guess no one ever wants to get to, where they can't
Of course.
function without having a drink.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that the physical part of it is the scariest part of it when we talk about alcoholism. I mean, is the sound any better? I don't want to like just annoy y'all with it.
Well, I can hear you.
Okay.
Look, this is
It's good.
StreamYard, and if you use a phone on StreamYard or an iPad, if you're not using a laptop or a computer,
It's
it
funny
is
like
what
that.
it is.
Okay.
StreamYard, yeah, it is what it is. But we
Okay.
can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I just what the main point that I was going to make is like always like the medically is the first thing that you think about. But it the next thing is really just getting to your first meeting. My dad got sober without Alcoholics Anonymous or any program, and he's been sober for about 40 years. He didn't use it. He didn't need it. I have to have a program in my life because I can't just stop drinking on my own, and I end up becoming a very angry, miserable person. So that's where I found my strength there. I found my voice. I found everything. So I think it's just really important to be around people that are just like you. And once you go the first time, chances are you're going to realize they're telling your story. One of them, two of them, three of them. I finally found a place I belonged,
Yeah.
What a place to belong, right?
And I did experience that. Yeah. I'm not sure if you were on the call when I first came on, but I got in legal trouble 24 years ago due to drinking, and went to AA then and stayed sober for 9 years. So I'm familiar with like AA and
Okay.
benefits to and how it and how it works. And I know I need to get back to that point. It's just like I have been suffering in silence. Like I've just kept this to myself. I know I need to do something. I'm ready to do something. I actually like made a few phone calls today, but a lot of things are like, meetings are in person. Even some programs aren't taking people in right now due to the current COVID concerns.
Okay.
So I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. Have you tried calling? Have you tried calling the intergroup in your area?
I'm sorry, you're still breaking up. What was that?
Have you tried calling like the intergroup in your area, like the number that like if you like do a Google search, whatever your area is, and you type intergroup, there's like a hotline phone number that you can call. That is a really good place to start.
No, I haven't. Okay. I haven't done that. I tried just like looking online, and a lot of them just indicated they were closed right now. Okay. But I guess you're indicating I call that number.
Yeah. If you about, like, absolutely. If you Google the area that you're in, the town, and you type in intergroup, like INTERGROUPE, they've got some sort of plan right now. They'll do what it takes to make it happen. And if it's not in-person meetings, they might be able to do something where, I mean, you'll have to social distance when you meet, but there might be a real strong woman in the program that can meet with you right now, and so that you don't feel so alone and you get started, you know.
And what did you say it was called? Intergroup?
Intergroup. INTERGROUPE.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I think I heard you.
Okay. And then I mean, they're dealing with it right now. There's a lot of people that are struggling right now, so they'll have some sort of plan for initial help as far as that goes. And since you've done it before, you know the deal. And you said alcohol was primarily your problem, like, so there's no other substance abuse you have to, I don't know what you're willing to share, but there's no other thing that you have to worry about right now. Just.
I'm sorry, I don't know if it's just me, but like I have a really hard time hearing Mandy.
Okay, I'm going to get on a laptop.
Everybody else, but for some reason I'm having a hard time hearing Mandy.
Okay, let me go get on a laptop. I'll be back.
She's going to come back. She's going to get on a laptop. Okay, and Miss Anonymous, Kim Beerley put the link to intergroup.org in the chat. And I can always send it to you later.
Oh, okay.
You know, I can send that information.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Yeah,
there.
you see it? Okay, good. So it's there.
Thank you.
It's there for you. I don't know. I mean,
people in the chat are talking about withdrawals and withdrawal symptoms, and how some people find it hard to quit because the withdrawals are so scary and so intense.
Well, yeah, I don't think that I personally, I mean, again, I'm not an expert, but I think if you're drinking heavily, 3 or 4 times a week, I think that if you just stop drinking, without any
and I'm
help,
talking about pills too. Like if you just quit, if you just stop, you're going to go through some withdrawals. And I think people are scared about that. So Sarah and Brandon, are you guys able to speak to the severity of withdrawals and like what you can do to avoid that?
Alcohol withdrawal is the absolute most dangerous.
Yeah, I know that the alcohol withdrawal is definitely dangerous. I do know that.
When it comes to pills, benzodiazepines, so Xanax, Klonopin, Valium, also very dangerous, very chemically close to alcohol in terms of a central nervous system depressant. Opiate withdrawal, you will wish you were dead for about 2 weeks, but you're probably not going to die. There have been a few across the country. I know that once fentanyl gets involved, it's much more possible because of what it does to the kidneys. Not a doctor. It's just what I've read in terms of what they've seen across the country in the past few years. But in terms of dealing with withdrawals, oh boy, I was not a person who was able.
Withdrawals can kill you. So if you are thinking about doing it alone, please don't. Go somewhere. Go to inpatient. Go to
a detox. Yeah.
Because it can be so very dangerous, and it can drop your blood pressure. It can really cause a lot of harm to the body. And
occasionally there's people that have strokes and they get sober. They're able to find sober through that detox, but they have long lasting effects. So finding medical treatment can be a key. Always working with addictionologists. Unfortunately, there's a lot of doctors out there that don't always understand addiction, and they will prescribe things that addicts and alcoholics do not need.
Because Sarah, Sarah, if you're drinking 3 or 4 times a week, and that's a situation where if you just stop drinking, you're probably going to have some kind of withdrawal, correct?
Yeah, not as severe possibly, but you're still definitely going to have withdrawals mentally also.
That's what I was going to say. Miss Anonymous is probably mostly dealing with just emotional withdrawals. So a lot of alcoholics get to a point where you're drinking to get away from shame or fear, whatever. And once the alcohol's gone, it's the next day you're sober again. All that stuff comes back times 10.
Yeah, mentally it does.
That's what I'm experiencing. So like when you ask if I'm experiencing shakes, I'm not. I do have a general feeling of just not feeling well, but the following day I'm very tearful and very emotional.
You
And
That's
hate
the
yourself.
addiction. Yeah.
Why did I do this to myself again? My family,
Right.
kids.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's the real deal. That the psychosis that comes with that type of withdrawal is unbelievably dangerous. I've done just about every drug they had up to about 2009. I haven't done some of the new stuff. Alcoholics have it the toughest. Alcohol is on every street corner and every gas station, at least where I live. And alcohol is very socially acceptable. You know, I don't know how y'all grew up, but I definitely grew up in a town and around people where drinking was a thing that people did. So, in getting sober, there is certain levels of resistance with family, cousins, aunts, uncles, whatever. But yeah, the emotional aspect of trying to get sober is very difficult, especially because you described binge drinking is what you're doing. You're drinking a lot of alcohol over 3 or 4 days, and the mental and emotional aspect the next day is probably driving you back to the bottle the following day. And then you get to a point where you realize I have to stop or I'm really going to be in trouble here. Does that sound accurate?
It sounds accurate. And another, that sounds very accurate, very on point. And another small key point to it is I suffer social anxiety.
Sure.
So to go to social events, I feel like I need to just at least have one or two. Of course, it doesn't ever stop there.
Right.
I can usually hold off until the event is over for the rest of it. But I feel like I need to at least have a little something before I go there in order to even interact at all, because I have such bad, social anxiety.
You've described textbook alcoholism multiple times tonight. I just want you to know that. I'm sure you're probably aware of that, but yeah, that's us. That's what happens. I need a few drinks just to be able to kind of talk to people and be around other people and smile and shake hands. And I get it. I get every bit of that. And even the social anxiety gets a lot easier the longer you're sober. At least that's been my experience. I know Sarah's had some ups and downs with it, but yeah. And trust me, there's plenty of times where I'll go to places I don't want to be there, but I'm just amazed you're sharing it. I haven't heard anybody dishonest. A lot of my friends are sober for years, so it's neat to hear someone honestly share what it's like to still be drinking. And you've reminded me of a lot of things. I appreciate you again for that.
Thank you.
You know, after my sister, I started doing research because, again, I feel like I was so dumb during my sister's life and drinking that I didn't ever think that someone could die from alcoholism. I don't know why I thought that, but I started doing some reading and I found out that if you start drinking, especially females, if you start drinking before the age of 15, which my sister around that age was when I caught her, stealing alcohol out of my parents would have alcohol for company and it would be up in a cabinet. And I caught her drinking alcohol, that it said statistically that if you start drinking at that age, you're most likely going to be an alcoholic, in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah. Alcohol is it's a very strange disease. It's the only disease where the main component is to convince you that you don't have a problem. It's the only an alcoholic can stand in the mirror drinking drunk and say, I'm not alcoholic. I'm just having a few drinks. I'm okay. Oh, it's the weekend, or I had a bad time at work, whatever. But yeah, and once again, just an opinion, or even in my own personal experience, I think women got it tough in general.
Yeah.
I've been around, and especially since Sarah's been in my life, seeing women get sober. Y'all got it tough. You do. I don't know if it's an emotional thing. I don't know if it's a hormone thing. I don't know what it is, but it seems a lot of and I saw a statistic years ago that I forget the time period. I want to say it was 2010 to 2012, something like that. The age for most women getting sober in treatment centers across the country was like 39 or 40. I thought with a lot of the younger girls and stuff that were having opiate problems, that would be a lot lower. But it seems that women are able to, especially with alcohol, drink longer, maybe have less consequences or consequences they were able to get over. But yeah. I lost my train
Yeah,
of thought.
it was sad reading, reading up on it after my sister, um, passed away, because there was so much information out there, and I don't know, like I still can't believe that I didn't know all these things. But even woman's anatomy, I read that they're more prone to becoming alcoholics or actually dying from it quicker
Sure.
than a man will.
Sure. I would believe it.
Yeah.
One of my biggest fears is genetically passing this
Sure.
on to my children, because I know one thing I haven't mentioned, again, like, as I've tried to conceal my identity and I want it to not say too much, but I
Sure.
have a bachelor's in psychology, and so I know a little bit about all that goes into it, and I know the genetic component, and so one of my biggest fears is it passing it on to my children when I've had such conversations with them about refraining and so forth. So anyway, I have that fear, and that's also one of the reasons why I have shame about going to them, because I have had such extensive conversations about the impacts it could have on their life. That adds to the shame that I have
But you can also still show them that mom is still a
on potentially
superhero.
going to them.
That mom can still say, you know what, I've had this problem, but I'm going to get over it. A lot of people don't. A lot of people don't get, where I come from, a lot of people don't get sober. They pass on. And you have that opportunity again to be that superhero in their lives and show them it is possible. It also would be nice that if they were to ever have a problem with drugs and alcohol, maybe their friends do, that you would know some people in recovery to talk to. You would know someone to send them to. Just some thoughts I had as you were speaking.
Let me ask a question
And
about the.
ironically,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
was just going to say about the genetic aspect of it, and passing it on, and it being something that you inherit. Because in my family, we didn't have any alcoholics. I had one uncle one uncle on my mother's side that was an alcoholic, but he was, somebody that would stop drinking, and then he'd fall off the wagon, and then he went into treatment, and then of course he lived to be into his 90s, so he was able to kick it, but get sober, is what I'm trying to say. But other than that, I mean, I've never had a drink. I've actually never had a drink in my life. I've never been drunk. It just wasn't something that was appealing to me. My mother wasn't a drinker, nor was my father. So, I always wonder about that too, because I feel like some people think that it is something that's genetic. If your father or mother is an alcoholic, then you're going to become one. One of your children will become one. So, but I don't know if that's, statistically correct or not. Do you know anything
So
about that,
what
Brandon?
Please go.
what I can add to that, and Brandon might have a little bit more if he was an addictions counselor, but the way that I recall, when studying it in school, is like you just said, Diane, you've never had a drink or you've never been a drunk. It's sort of like you didn't flip the switch.
Right.
Exactly.
Had you flipped the switch, the outcome could have been differently, but you never
That's true.
flipped that switch.
Right. I never did. It didn't appeal to me. I'll tell you, and I've said this before, all my friends, talking about social anxiety. I always remember as, a teenager, or even into my 20s, when we would go out to clubs and things like that, all of my friends needed to have that drink, because they couldn't do anything without having that drink. They couldn't get up and dance or whatever, or socialize. Where I never had a problem. I never had social anxiety. So I never needed to flip the switch. But I also hated, I remember, going to parties as a teenager and everybody drinking, and drinking whatever garbage I guess they can get their hands on with the money they had. And then, they would drink, and then everybody would be puking all over the place. So I said to myself, oh, no, that's not something that I want. So I think, it was more for me, fear of the getting sick part. I don't know, but you're right. I mean, I would have to say to some extent, I think we all have some kind of addictive nature to something. I was a shopaholic, a legit shopaholic at one time. And I know that sounds crazy, but that really is a thing. And I did go through that, years ago. Crazy. I mean, like, I had, a spot that I hit every Wednesday. You know what I mean? And I know that it's not as bad as taking, abusive substances to your body, but it can definitely mess with your life, any addiction. So, yeah, maybe if I would have started drinking, maybe I would have been in the same boat as my sister. I don't know.
Grateful that you're here, Diane.
Yeah, I am. God, I am too. I am too. It's not let me just tell you, it's just not, it's not a pretty way to die. That's all I'm going to say.
No.
No, an alcoholic death is horrible. It's a horrible way to go. I have can y'all hear me better now?
Yes.
Okay. Anonymous, I just have a question. I don't know if you want to share. When you were in the program for 9 years, did you work all 12 steps or how did you?
Well, I wasn't necessarily in the program for 9 years. I was sober for 9 years.
Oh, okay.
Program 2 to 2.5 years, and but I stayed sober for 9 years.
Okay.
And during that time, during the 2 to 2.5 years, I didn't complete the full 12 steps. I think maybe I got to maybe 7 or 8.
Okay. Okay.
And then actually I switched programs to Celebrate Recovery, to where things were done a little bit differently. But again, I didn't stay there the full 9 years either.
Okay.
I just stayed sober for 9 years.
Okay.
I had this idea, and I think I still have it some days. And I know it's incorrect. I know I'm just lying to myself, but I had this idea, and I still tell it to myself, that I'm educated about this stuff. I know better, and that I can fix it on my own.
Yeah.
I know that's not true, but it's a lie I tell myself.
And I appreciate you sharing that. That is, it does not discriminate. I have buddies that were counselors and therapists that are no longer with us. They got so many letters after their names, they didn't have to go to meetings anymore, and they drank, right, or they used, and they passed on. And I appreciate you sharing that. You literally just told on yourself. That's, once again, that's a big deal. That level of honesty of saying, I know this is crazy, but this is what's going on in my head. Education has kept no one sober, as far as I know. Yeah. Working a program of action like my friend Bill W., I believe, has been talking to you about. I have never seen anyone work all 12 steps with a sponsor, go on to sponsor people, do service work, continue to attend meetings, ever relapse. If we continue to do those things, we will stay sober. So thank you for sharing that. And I just want to throw that in there as well, that, that for me, that's what worked. I was a guy that went to rehab a lot, in and out of meetings. Sometimes I had a sponsor, sometimes I didn't. Once I worked all 12 steps, I lost the obsession. It was removed from me. And since then, a lot of things became possible in my life, because before then, that's what controlled my thoughts. Alcohol and drugs drove me around and made decisions for me. And once that was removed, I was able to go on and live my life.
And I had a good long period. I think I mentioned, so I was sober for 9 years. So that was about 15 years ago, was the end of that 9 years. And it wasn't until about 4 years that I started picking up again. And it was a result of some significant things that happened in my life. But prior to 4 years ago, for about 10 years, like, I had no interest. I could be around it. I could attend, family cookouts or just friends cookouts, whatever, summer events, barbecues, where it was widely available. I had absolutely no interest, no craving, no desire. But then about 4 years ago, something happened where life sort of kind of got very chaotic, and I felt out of control. I felt like it was a situation that I couldn't fix. And turned to the bottle. It only didn't continue to get really, really bad until the last year when another very significant event happened. So I think I'm aware that there's a lot of things I need to work through along with like just getting sober and getting a sponsor. There's these events that I need to work through.
Absolutely. And it sounds like alcohol was your solution. You know, sometimes we think alcohols are a problem, but when we're drinking or we're about to go on a binge again, it becomes our solution. Until it stops working, and it sounds like you're getting to a place where alcohol is not working anymore, or you wouldn't be here.
It's right. Yes, exactly.
All right. So is there any other suggestions that you can give, either Mandy or Sarah and Brandon to help? Because there was people in the side chat as well. Someone actually asked me if they can come up. I gave them my email, but I haven't heard from them yet. Is there any other help that you can offer to anybody that right now is in recovery, that might be struggling, even though they haven't relapsed? Any words of wisdom that you can offer?
Yeah. Recovery is a program of action. And it's the little things, it's go to the meeting, pick up the phone, call the sponsor or people that you run around with. I always thought I always thought recovery was going to be these big mystical and big amazing spiritual events, and a lot of things in my life were really simple. They were very powerful and impactful, but really it's the simple things I do every day that kind of give me that armor against booze and dope. Ultimately, I couldn't tell you the last time it was. So no matter what happens in my life, good day or bad day, my mind doesn't say, go drink, go use. Like I shared with you earlier, my mind likes saying cupcake, pizza, ice cream. That's how addictions kind of manifest in my life now, and that's what I'm working on. But for a long time, alcohol was what drove me. So now I had to replace all of that, all the pain, the shame, the remorse, the feelings, weird stuff in childhood, being afraid, job, relationships, you name it, with good stuff and good people. For me, it's been a lot of prayer and meditation. I did step work every year for about 6 or 7 years until I got a sponsor who said I was self-obsessed. He was probably right. So we've took bigger breaks in between my step work. That's what's worked for me. Your bottom does not have to be this awful, terrible thing that you hear about. It can be just, I talked to some people and I think it's time for me to do something different. But that's up to you. We can't do it for you. No matter what, I'm just grateful that you shared with us. It takes a lot of strength to get up and say, you know what, I've got a problem. And I know what to do, but I'm not sure how to do it just yet. So, like I said, my hat's off to you. But yeah, that's kind of my words of wisdom.
I really appreciate your words and your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a question for you. I know Mandy suggested intergroup for AA, and you had also throughout the discussion mentioned online support.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something specific that you recommend?
No, she gave you the best advice. Intergroup's great.
Okay.
I'm in Ohio, so AA technically started in Ohio. So our intergroups are pretty big and pretty interlinked. So you can, like she said, you could find someone that would meet with you for coffee, you name it.
Stay on the phone with you as long as you need.
Trust me, you tell people that you're wanting to get sober and you think you're going to drink, they will be by your side.
Absolutely.
The thing that I went by when I first got sober was keep it simple. And I was like, in fact, they say, keep it simple, stupid is one of the things they say. And just doing the next right thing and doing the next thing that you know to do. Calling intergroup is an amazing start. And you don't have to conquer the world in a day. Just take it one step at a time.
Thank you.
Miss Anonymous, if you don't mind me asking, you said that there were certain life events that happened that you began drinking again. Something happened in your life. Is that something that, I mean, and I don't know, maybe, you know, Sarah and Brandy can help me with this, and as well as Mandy. Does that mean that if something happens in your life, I mean, I know that things can, I hate to use the word trigger, but like, you know, you lost someone in your life, someone died, something traumatic happened to you. Do you suggest that someone who has had a traumatic event happen in their life that made them start drinking again, do you suggest that maybe they go and see a therapist to talk about those things which got them to the point, or does you know, a program for alcohol help you with that? Do you need to see a therapist to find out why you ended up going back to drinking? Hello?
I
Do you want
I
me to
can
answer
tell you.
that? Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I can tell you for me, as the person who experienced those things, I do see a therapist,
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't discuss my drinking. I discuss the issues
Okay.
that occurred. But I've even been too ashamed to discuss it with her. Like I really know that I need to break free from this. I don't even know how to word it. You know, the way my family is made to appear. I need to break free from that. And I've carried it with me to my therapist. Like, I will tell her about the experiences I had, but I haven't told her how I deal with them because I'm so ashamed, and I know somehow it reflects on my family.
Miss
And I
Anonymous, can I
correlate
say
it. So
something?
go ahead, please do.
Nobody knows this here in the community, but my drug addiction really took force back in 2006, and it caused me to do something so shameful that I overdosed. I can't tell you how many times. And what happened was I left my son in a car and he almost died. And I felt so guilty for that. I hated myself. I thought I was a terrible mother. I thought I never deserved my children. So I continued to use so I could numb that pain. And so I didn't have to think about it. And I kept that in for so long. And until I fixed that, and until I told on myself for what I did, because I was so screwed up on Xanax, I continued to use. Like, I had to admit to myself that I actually let that happen, that I did that. And that was really hard because I felt shame and I didn't want people looking down on me. And I know that I have a dual diagnosis, so I had to work on the mental part of it too, or I was never going to get clean. And it took a lot, and it took many years for me to admit to people that, yeah, I did do that. And it's hard. There's a lot of shame that comes in with addiction, and I'm so sorry for that. But
no, I really appreciate you sharing that. I sincerely do.
I've never told anybody in this community that happened. It was on the news. I felt like a big piece of shit for a lot of years. And I didn't have my son for about 5 years because of that. I had him, he was taken away from me, rightfully so. You know, but since I've been sober, I have him. He's a straight A student, and I'm so proud that, you know, I was able to conquer
all of that, because look where it got me. It got me with my son again. It's hard to talk about still, because I know people judge me, but I don't care. They're just words. People's words can't affect me. You know what I mean? It's humbling.
Well, that was a very powerful thing for you to share, especially in this community. Very
Oh,
powerful.
absolutely. People judge me in this community every day, Diane. It
I
doesn't
know.
bother me anymore. It
I
used
know.
to, because I'm the girl that was raised here and I had this and I had that. But because of my addiction, all of that was taken away. Like, not just the material things, my family, everything was gone. So I had to hit my bottom and realize that it was my fault for me to make it all okay again. And it wasn't easy, but it worked. And I've been sober 5 years thus far, so
Well,
I did something right.
you're getting a lot of love from the side chat. So
Thank you. I'm not able to see it,
yeah,
so
you're getting lots of hearts
I
and
love
support.
everybody for not judging me on that. I really do, because that was a really dark time in my life, and I spent a lot of time in hospitals because I didn't want to live. But I'm glad that I was able to get through it and recognize it to be here today.
I sincerely appreciate you sharing that. Sincerely. What's brought me here today, and to be like more open, honest about what's going on, and to the I've known that I needed to get help for a little while now, but what brought me to no longer having a choice in it was that I received a DUI 3 weeks
Oh,
ago.
wow.
And so the shame in that, nothing, there was no accident involved or anything like that. No one was injured, and neither was I. And so that's great. But the shame of what could have happened has replayed in my mind every day.
But it didn't. You know what I mean? It coulda, woulda, shoulda, but it didn't.
That is true. That is true. And so that's like why I've started making some phone calls about programs and stuff like that. And I had wondered prior to that happening, and as I was realizing that I was starting to get out of control, I wondered what it was going to take. And so I don't want to say that was a blessing, because it certainly wasn't a blessing. It was a really horrible thing, and somebody really could have got hurt. I understand and totally get the gravity of what occurred, but it also is like the catalyst to what is going to get me into a program.
Absolutely. I used Xanax for years, and I never thought that I could hurt my son the way I did. I never thought that life would end up being like that. But, and I sit there and I wish, well, gosh, if I could have just stopped before that incident happened, things wouldn't have gone the way they did. But I can't think of it that way. I have to realize that everything happens for a reason. And, maybe this DUI was your reason to get sober, you know what I mean? Or to at least ask for help.
I've said the same thing to myself every day since then. If I could have just stopped before then, if I could have just got it under control or got help before then. But I also do see it as possibly the catalyst to getting help.
Yeah. Just don't let it go too far, because you never know what can happen. And that's what kind of keeps me sober today, is knowing what did happen. And I don't ever want to go through that ever again. I don't want to lose the things that I have today. It's hard. It's not easy. And when I hear people say that, oh, addiction isn't a disease, yes, it is, because I struggle with it every day. Even though I've been sober as long as I have, I still get triggers every now and then. I still get bad memories that come back. and I work through them so I don't use. It's really hard.
Well, I'm going to say to Miss Anonymous, I am so happy that you reached out to me and you felt comfortable enough to do so, and to come up here and have the courage to talk about what's going on in your life with Sarah and Brandon and Mandy, with people who have been in your shoes. So this was a courageous thing for you to do.
Yes,
I
it
really
was.
appreciate it. I'm glad you had me.
Well, I hope that you were able to, get some good advice from everyone on panel, not including me, because I don't, unfortunately, I don't have any advice for you other than, bringing up the people that I did, that I know could give you advice. And of course, the people in the side chat who have also been in your position. There has been, listen, there are a lot of people in both communities, as I said in the beginning of the stream, who are, in addiction now or are in recovery, who are still struggling. There's a lot of people around here that, and that's why it's so difficult for me to understand why people think it's okay to use it for, YouTube insults when it's a very, very difficult thing to deal with. I don't get it. I will never get it. Yes, a strong community of women, very powerful people, very much alike in many ways. That Kit Kat just said that. Absolutely. There are a lot of very, very strong women in this community.
My hope is that, after hearing some of these stories and reading the chat and stuff, that people will just be a little more mindful about the insults that they throw around. There are very real people behind some of these names. And just because you can hurt them, doesn't mean that you should.
And they're already hurting in some cases.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're already hurting. And, in the case of Miss Anonymous right now, this is her first time even, openly speaking about it in public.
Yeah.
And, she's struggling right now. She's really
Right.
struggling. So this is
Are
not.
we able to get, Ms. Anonymous, are you able to speak with Sarah offline maybe, or even Mandy or whoever, and, be able to continue getting support after this stream? Like, I hate to just leave this stream and then, you're just kind of left.
I'm here if you ever want to talk.
I mean, I could put you
Yeah,
in
I probably
contact,
consider it.
Miss Anonymous. I can put you in contact with Sarah if you want me to. I mean, just let me know.
Okay, I'll give it consideration. I'll just have to create an alternate account. I'm not ready to find myself
Okay.
yet.
Okay. No, and you should be able to remain anonymous. But
Oh,
if
of course. Absolutely.
you can get help, if you're.
But I don't think and even if you didn't, I mean, K Mello gave us a super chat. It would be wonderful if you could do this once a week. Maybe we will do this more often, because it seems like a lot of people in the chat are responding to this and sounds like something that they need. The problem is that this is not my area of expertise at all.
Right. Yeah, not mine either.
So I feel really weird, like trying to give advice or, make anything, I don't feel like I have the skills at all. What we can do though is continue having Sarah up here, or if she wants to do it on her own channel, we can certainly give you guys the link to her channel so that you can sub to her. In fact, can anyone grab her channel and drop it in there, mods? If anyone is able to do that, that would be great.
Yeah, and Mandy, I don't know, Mandy, are you going back to talking about your recovery? Because
Yes, I am.
On here.
So
yeah,
then we
I'm
could
gonna
drop
start
Mandy's
doing
link too.
Yeah, start doing the vlogs again, because it really helps me to talk about it. And if anybody else can identify it, that makes it that much better.
So maybe we could, do this more often, but I would need like people to come up and lead that. I would feel really weird trying to lead something like that when I don't have any, experience in that area. And this is such a complicated, sensitive thing that I don't want to do it injustice,
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to come back again and do it.
Yeah.
Me
Um,
too.
For sure.
Yeah, well, we definitely can do it. I think that it's an important, I think it's an important topic. And I think there are a lot of people, like I said, in this community that relate to it. And yeah, I would be willing
Wait a second. Crystal, honey. I think
Uh-oh.
Crystal's pocket modding. Come back to us. Crystal, you're hiding everybody in the chat, girl.
What?
Come back to us, babe.
Yeah, sometimes our
I think her
mods,
booty is modding for us right now at the
Oh
moment.
my god.
their booty
I did that
or
earlier
their
today.
boobs,
Yes.
or
Booty
they
mod.
fell asleep or whatever, they rolled over on their phone.
There
Oh
she
my
is. There's
God.
my Crystal. I got it. We're fixed. Don't worry, girl. Stay with us.
It happens. It happens.
It happens all the time. It happens all the
It's kind
time.
of funny. We had someone in here who fell asleep and on their phone, and all this crazy typing was just
Oh
coming
my
up for us.
god.
Yes, like a cat running across a keyboard. That's
Yes,
what we
and
thought.
we
And,
were like,
and then we went to everywhere. Like, is she having a stroke? Like, what is
yeah, we were
happening?
concerned.
We were all worried now because she kept doing it.
Oh my
I'm like, is this a
god.
troll? Like, what is she doing? But yeah, I
She
guess
fell
so.
asleep.
We found out she was asleep. Nice. I love it.
Yeah, we put her to sleep. I don't know what else to say.
That's all right. Sometimes we do. Please encourage her to look for a local AA all women's meeting in her area. Sometimes it's easier to start there. I also saw somebody in the chat talk about online meetings too nowadays, since we're all locked down and curfewed and everything else. Cats do not make spaces. Mac 11, if a cat runs across a space bar, then there'll be a space. So suck it. Sometimes
One of the cool things about the online AA and NA is that they're completely anonymous. And so you can find somebody across the country that'll be there for you and not even know who you are. That's pretty cool.
I like that. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, that is.
I hate to leave this panel and then just leave Miss Anonymous, but at the same time, I don't want to be pestering you and harassing you either. So I just want to make sure that you know that you have support, and there's plenty of people here that there's my pedantic teacher. That's right, Mac 11. And the space bar is bigger than any other button on the keyboard. So of course she could step on it. Suck it. Anyway.
Yeah, well, like I said, I will I will reach out to Miss Anonymous because she messaged me. I can message her and see where she's at, and I can if she wants to set up a new account or whatever, I can put her in touch with whomever she wants to possibly speak with. But if you can do this online and actually do it with someone a sponsor that way, a Zoom meeting or something like that, that would be great.
Miss Anonymous,
Yeah,
if there's ever a time you want to maybe contact me, I put my number in the private chat. I'll never
Okay.
judge you. And you'll be completely anonymous to me. I mean, this is absolutely imperative. If you really want to get help, you can do it. And you got to start with talking to somebody. You know what I mean?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. It means a lot. And I just want to add, I'm probably going to go here in just a minute, but I just wanted to add, so much ugliness goes on in our community, but what's happening here tonight is the beauty of our community.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I agree.
And we have to remember that about each other when we're tearing each other apart, that we're human beings, that we're all struggling with something, or many of us are struggling, and that we need each other. And even when we tear each other apart, I still like to know at the end of the day that if I needed somebody, that people would be there. And I feel like you guys see that tonight too, that there are people here for you that are going through very similar things, or even if they're not, they can be compassionate and not judging. And I love that. I love that about our community.
I'm very grateful for tonight. Thank you, ladies, for having Brandon and I up.
Oh my gosh, it's absolutely our pleasure. You, I mean, this was all you. This was all you guys, and I really appreciate you guys coming up here and being so knowledgeable and willing to share and help so many members in this community. I feel like more and more people need to hear this.
Oh, absolutely. And also to the people in the side chat who have come in and, shared whatever
Yes, the
they're
side
going
chat's been
through as
incredible.
well. Yeah, and I do feel the same way as Wendy does. I feel like as much as we might go at each other and we might have crazy drama filled live streams going at each other, I do feel like there are people here that would help you in a heartbeat if you needed help, because we do have good people here.
Yeah, we do. We really do.
Sorry, Wendy, I tried to put the Al-Anon link. Oh, um, yeah, you can't put the link if you're not a mod. That's why you can't.
Oh, yeah, somebody was asking for the Al-Anon. Thank you, PJ. Appreciate that. I was asking the mods if they could try to find an Al-Anon link
Yeah.
because somebody was asking for it. And I'm hoping that anyone, there you go. Crystal says so. Put a phone number. Perfect. Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Yeah, Al-Anon
Kimberly,
is an amazing resource for family members, and then there's a lot of times some alcoholics that are in recovery will also go to Al-Anon as they get along in their program. But it's
Kimberly gave
great.
us a super chat. She said, "Stop using people's recovery against them." And I'm hoping that that this message will get around the community, that we don't want to see that anymore from our creators, our channel, people. We don't want to see that anymore. And you guys in the chat are the ones who run that. So who is Pedantic Princess? Who is that? Is that someone making fun of me?
Well, she changed her name, obviously, because she's a member.
What was her name before?
I don't know.
Pedantic Princess. I love it. I love it. Anyway, you guys in the chat are in charge of this community. Honestly, this is your community, and you guys decide what you are willing to put up with and what you're not willing to put up with. And if you go to a channel, a creator, and they're doing something that you don't support, you need to tell them that. You need to say so. Be brave and be brave enough to say that. And what's the worst that can happen? They'll block you. Okay, fine. Well, then now you know. That's not the group for you.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
That's not your people.
Because it happens way too much. I see it way too much. Even even creators make little videos calling people crackheads and stuff. You can't. Why are you doing that? It's not funny. It's nothing funny about it.
Well, Corey calls me a crackhead because somebody used to call her that. I've never called her that in my life.
Well,
and I've never done crack a day in my life either. So
well,
she thinks that she's hurting me by saying mean things. I don't care what she has to say about me. I will never be okay with Corey. Corey wished cancer on us and our children.
But
I'll never be okay with Corey. So she can stay away and make all the videos she wants. I don't care.
But here's the more important thing. It's not responsible as an adult to, whether or not someone called you a crackhead in the past or someone called her a crackhead, to go around calling people crackheads. It's just
right. And I didn't agree that somebody was calling her that. I never called her that.
No.
Why she decided to come after me is embarrassing. It's ridiculous. She looks stupid. She is making a fool of herself, Misfit Jenny. Exactly. You're right. Yeah. She's making a fool of herself. I don't want anything to do with her. And I don't have to have anything to do with her. I think she's a terrible human being. Sorry.
She knew we were doing this stream, so she made a video about it and thinking that it was about Laura. This has nothing to do with Laura. If Laura is guilty of, saying dope whores and putting little needles on a thumbnail and calling people dope whores, yeah, then you're partaking in what we're against. So, but it wasn't about her. It was about what we did tonight.
That's right.
And how we feel about.
It's about supporting and taking care of each other. And exactly. Corey has no idea what that is. Corey doesn't know how to take care of anybody. She takes care of herself. That's it. I'm sorry. I know I'm being mean and nasty, but it's the truth. She doesn't care about anybody but herself. She doesn't care about who she hurts. And I want nothing to do with her ever. I don't watch her channel. I don't watch her hate videos. I just don't watch them. Let her call me whatever name you want, Corey. Go right ahead. I think you're a terrible human being. You wish cancer on our children. You never, ever, ever get to take that back, ever. You're not going to be forgiven by me, ever. So don't try.
Look at the title of Laura's live. I don't even.
I can barely care. Let me see. I'm sure it's going to be something nasty about us as usual. That's all she ever does.
We didn't even talk about her tonight. I don't
know.
Understand.
We didn't, but she has to say something nasty about us. No, there she is. Who wants to get high? I'm triggered from all the talk about getting high.
Wow.
Oh, I'm so triggered. She has a
Oh,
baby
God.
in a little pool with little tattoos all over it, holding and smoking a cigarette. What's up,
Nobody
baby?
even
Want to
mentioned
hop in the
her.
tub with me? Let's get freaky with an infant. Great. I need a
Well,
meeting. Anyone else? God, she's disgusting.
see, I was kind of hoping that, when I put it just out on the community, my community page, that when I said about the YouTube fodder and using, the crackhead and the meth head and this and the addict and all that, everybody would be interested in talking about this and making this a better place and talking about how serious addiction is and how serious recovery is. But no, I guess not. I guess
Of
not.
course not. She's not. She doesn't care about anybody either. She's another one who cares only about herself. Sorry. It's the
And
truth.
she wants to keep the drama going. She doesn't want it to end. She
No.
loves the drama.
She does. Absolutely, she does. And she has nothing else to talk about unless she's dragging us. I mean, that's it. That's all she has. So let her. And I hope that the people that were in here tonight that are also subs of hers will let her know that that's not okay, that you don't appreciate that. I mean, you guys have to speak up and say that you are not
She's
okay with some
basically
things. You have
mocking
to.
us.
Yeah, she's making
Yes,
fun of all of
yeah.
us.
Yeah.
That's fine. That's fine. Let her make fun of all of us. We're the ones that are caring about others and trying to help people. And that's all we can do. That's all we can do is use our platforms to try to, at the end of the day, help each other.
And it shows how miserable she is. She has to take somebody's hurt and make fun of that. And she's done that for a long time. And this is just
And
proof of it.
That's right. That's what she
a
does.
very sad part is that there could be members in her stream who are struggling.
I'm
Yeah.
sure that there
I'm
are.
sure
That's
there
the thing. There are. Of course there are. Some of them are in here tonight. I see people in here tonight that are always in Laura's stream. So of course there's people that that support her in here. And again, like I'm saying, all I'm saying is that, you guys are the ones who make the channels. You guys are the ones that, we wouldn't have channel without you. So you guys are the ones that need to speak up, say that you're not okay with this.
I didn't get to see the picture. Is it
Oh,
her
it's
thumbnail?
disgusting. Should I get a screenshot of it? It's nasty as hell.
See,
Is that
And it has an infant. I'm sorry,
is
this
that a
is a
dig
naked
at
baby
me
in a
for
pool.
what I told everybody?
This is
I-
so
see, Anita Backrub is in here tonight.
pedophilic.
She's a member and a patron of Laura's, but she's in here tonight because this is a serious topic to her. I would have wished. Here's what I would have wished that Laura would have done. She would have put on her big girl panties, right? And she would have come over and said, "You know what? You're right. We need to stop doing this." But instead, she made,
Here's her. I'm going to send it to you, Diane, and you can screen share it if you want.
All right. Yeah. I mean,
this is her, and it's not very clear because I don't know why. Who cares?
I mean, that's what I would have hoped, that the creators on here who have been involved in the using recovery against people would have said, "You know what? This is true. We shouldn't be doing this anymore. We go low enough when we go at kids and doing this and that. Why are we going after people's recovery, especially if you're claiming to be a recovered addict?"
Right.
I just don't understand it.
Well, yeah, well, she obviously, like I said, she doesn't care about anybody but herself, unfortunately, and her money and her people. And I'm hoping that she needs you for content. None of this was about her. Don't even go over there or give her a view. Yeah, I won't be watching her. She can do her disgusting stream.
All right, let me
without me. I sent it to you in DMs, Diane.
Yeah, I'm going to screen share it.
Full on drama. This is not the time or the place. Please stop. I'm asking nicely.
Oh my God.
I know, Aaron. I agree with you.
And this is not even funny.
No, it's not funny. It's very, I'm sorry, but it's very pedophilia-ish to me. You don't have a little tiny baby that obviously doesn't have any clothes on, smoking a cigarette. Like, that's disgusting to me. It's disgusting.
Hold on, I'm going to screen share it.
Laura, she made fun of my son because I posted his grades one time. And then, tonight I shared my story about what happened with my son when he was a baby and what, the consequences I had for that. So I'm just wondering if that's a dig at me for her putting that baby on her thumbnail.
Oh my God, I hope not. After that story that you just told. It better fucking not be. God, she is.
Can everybody see
disgusting.
it?
Look at that. That is so gross.
Who wants to get high? I am triggered from all the talk about getting high.
Wow.
Wow. Wow, Laura. Wow.
That just shows who she is. You know what I mean?
It does.
Yeah.
And like I said, you know, when you say things, and this has come out of her mouth, my kids are perfect. My kids have straight A's. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. My sister also was a straight A student. She went to college and got a degree in fashion merchandising, but she's no longer here.
Wow.
So you can become an addict at any time.
That's
You
right.
don't have control over it. Anyone
No.
can become an addict at any time. You could be raised by the best parents in the world. It doesn't matter. You can go to an Ivy League school. It doesn't matter. You don't know what your future is. Be grateful for what you have, but also pray that it never happens to you, where one of your children become an addict.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, you never ever know. You don't have it. You had no idea. You have no idea. That was disgusting. Laura, you're just disgusting. That's just what you are. You're just a disgusting human being. I'm sorry. You just are. Ugh.
I mean, it doesn't matter what kind of social background you come from, financial background you come from, what kind of parents you have. We were raised with loving parents in a loving home. It means nothing. It can happen. It happens. And yeah, she tries to be funny, and it's not funny.
I know that she thinks it's funny, but she also thought that, you know, planning somebody's rape was funny. She also thought that Mandy Bell's husband, ex or whatever, who passed away, trolling with his name would be funny. Like, these are all jokes, quote unquote, to her.
No, Christy, we're not engaging in her bullshit. What I said was, I wish that when I put this out on my community post, I made it public and for members so that everybody could see it. That instead of continuing on with this going at people for their recovery, that she would have put a big girl panties on and said, you know what, this is a problem in this community.
Yeah.
And I'm part of this community. Whether or not she wants to believe it, she is part of this community. And so are the people in her chat who were in here tonight who also struggled with addiction, that she would have instead shared her experience.
Right.
And instead, she chose to mock this. Do you not see, Christy, that she's mocking this? Or am I missing something? I'm not yelling at you. I'm just saying that I'm not engaging with her. But I kind of find it to be one of the reasons that we have a problem. We have a problem in this community with going after people's recovery. That's not funny.
But I mean, but here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, though, Diana. We're never going to change her. This is who she is. This is who she is. We're never going to change her. Even Manson had followers, remember? Even Manson had followers. So she's always going to have people that follow her. She's always going to have people that, you know, support her ridiculousness. All we can do is just provide an alternative over here and not, you know, do the crappy things that she does. We do other crappy things, you know, but we don't do that.
I just want to chime in real quick. I'm going to jump off, but I wanted to thank everybody. I wanted to thank Diane for having me on, you as well, Wendy. And
I'm so glad that you came up. Thank you.
Yes,
so
I am
much for
too,
being
Miss
here.
Anonymous, and I will reach out to you, you know, in DMs, and I will give you, you know, I'll give you Sarah's number if you want, you know, whatever it is that you need help with, I will be there for you.
Sounds good.
Just know that people care.
Yes.
Yes. Please keep in touch with us too. Okay. Please.
Sure will. So I also want to thank Sarah, Brandon, and Mandy. So everybody have a good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sweetheart. You too.
Miss Anonymous.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So I
Ladies, I'm going to jump off. Oh,
Okay, Sarah, thank you so much for being up here. I appreciate you
Thank
and your
you for
husband
having
so
yes,
much.
thank you so much,
So
Sarah
much.
and
Thank you.
Brandon for coming
You guys
up.
have a good night.
You too,
too.
sweetheart. Thank you for being
Thanks,
here.
chat. Bye.
Thank you.
Yes, Erin, my DMs are open on Twitter. It's at pinkpepper821. So yeah, you can DM me anytime, even if you're not following me.
Whew. That was
Well,
good.
yeah, no, I think
I'm
it
glad
was
we did
good, and
that.
I'm so glad that Miss Anonymous reached out
Yes.
because that really takes a lot of courage to do that.
Yeah.
And I feel like what she said about getting the DUI, that really could have been a blessing in disguise because it was just a DUI.
Yes.
Um,
Thank
you know,
God
no
it
one
wasn't an
was hurt.
accident.
Yeah, no one was hurt. So I
Yes.
hope that she can find some help and get through this. I know
Me
it's not,
too.
it's not something easy to do, but I hope that she can. And I mean, it's hard. I guess it's hard, and especially hard for her. Like you heard her story, with her parents and her family, and there's some parents, I guess, that you just can't, reach out and talk to them.
Yeah.
So I thought it was
Well,
good
I mean,
training.
you got to reach out to somebody though. And thank God there's people in this community that are willing to excuse me, are willing to help, are willing to be reached out to. Thank God. Thank God for all of you guys that are willing to help each other through, the greatest
Yeah,
challenge that
we do
people
have a
probably
lot of,
face.
yeah, we do have a lot of really great people in this community.
We
Like I
do.
said, even though we have, the drama that does happen, I still feel like there are people that if you needed them, they would drop everything in
Right.
a heartbeat.
Yeah. And it is important to know that we're not alone. Exactly, Linky Tor. You're right. It is important to know we're not alone.
You're welcome, Anita. I hope that, you, as being a member and a Patreon, as you said, if you do see things like this, when you go into other people's chats and, one in particular that, you say, this is not right.
Yeah. You guys, as the chat, you guys have to speak up. You have to say what's right, what's not right, what you're willing to accept, what you're not willing to accept. You need to speak up about it. And I hope you guys do. I really do.
Yeah. So, but, we will try to do more of these and hopefully more people will feel comfortable coming in. I know
We need
that.
somebody who knows what they're talking about, though.
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't.
oh no, I don't. I'm saying
Yeah.
if Sarah wants to come, anybody else who has, experience, who has been in recovery, is, clean for 15 years and
Yeah.
can help someone. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then more people might be willing to open up and, come up on panel. It could be, cathartic. So, yeah, I'd be
Definitely.
willing to do more of these. And of course, on Friday night, we'll still do our crazy stuff. And,
Yeah.
we won't do this every Tuesday, but, we'll still have try to have more interesting topics. I'm working on something right now. I actually reached out to a woman who writes for the Huffington Post or something like that. It's called, I can't remember right now, but, I always wanted to do a stream on racism, but being a white woman, it's a little bit difficult. But she's not a white woman; she's a black woman, and she writes, and she did a beautiful piece on white entitlement. And I reached out to her. I don't know if she's going to answer me or not, but I would love to have her up on panel just based on
Definitely.
the article that I read. So I'm trying to work on some things, but we're still going to listen, we're still going to do drama. We're still going to,
Of course
have
we are. Yes.
it's what we do.
That's what we do.
Yeah. Get Oprah on panel. That's never going to happen. And if she did come though, I'd make her give everybody gifts.
Misfit Jenny, I'm so happy to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you for being here. And I'm glad that you said that. Thank you. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. I usually mute when I do that. Sorry. Give me a second.
So,
Sorry. I still am getting over this cough. I'm so glad you said that, because I was a little nervous, and I don't usually get nervous when we go live, but I was a little nervous about tonight because it's such an important topic. And I know that's not an area that I'm an expert in. And so I was worried that we were going to not do it right, or somehow, be a disservice to the community. And I don't want that to be the case. I want to be helpful towards the community. So I hope that this was helpful for people. I feel like it was. See, people
Yeah,
seem
I think it was, and hopefully, if we do it more often, we'll get more people coming, and
yeah.
I know it's hard because listen, there's a lot of people that I know probably didn't come for reasons of it being a difficult topic, because there are a lot of people recovering and they're not comfortable
Yes.
talking about it. But hopefully, next time around they will.
Yes, Kit Kat. A lot of our community are recovering addicts.
Yeah.
They are. I mean, just seeing you guys in the chat being so brave to talk about it and talk to each other about it. Like, it's good for us to know. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, hun. It's good for us to know. I mean, not that and that's the problem in this community, right? Is that when you know that someone has a vulnerable spot, then when you get mad at them, that's where you hit them, right?
Yeah.
Because, you want to hurt them.
Yeah.
So it's like you're taking a risk in the chat or up on panel when you share something so personal and, huge in your life, when you share something like that, and then people use it against you. And I hope we don't see that. Already Sarah feels like this is being used against her, which sucks, because she was very brave to tell that story. Not many of us would be up here willing to tell that story.
No, that was heartbreaking.
That was extremely brave of her to do that.
And I'll tell you, if I see anyone going at her with that, I will choose.
Oh yeah, we'll come out with some fury.
Yeah,
Don't
we
you
will
dare.
come out
Don't you
swinging.
dare. You don't want us to get mad about that. You don't want that.
Don't
Just
you dare
saying.
go after her
That
for
would be bad. That'd be a bad move. You don't want to see us get mad about that. But I'm just saying, and so there's people in the chat too that have shared things in the chat. Yeah, it felt like a community. Exactly, Beth. And then other people in the chat were supporting them and, getting to know each other. And I just think that that's so much better than, just constantly hating each other. It's one thing when we're throwing tomatoes back and forth, but this is real. This is something huge. And we really need to try to be here for each other.
That's right, Mac 11. Fire and brimstone will ensue.
Yes.
Anyone goes after Sarah for that story that she told tonight.
Yes.
That was amazing that she was so brave to do that. I don't know if I would have been able to do that, but it's part of her story.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Part of her recovery.
Yeah.
Of where she is today.
Yeah. Amen. That's right. Amen. I really felt love tonight. I needed this. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Good. Oh, Krama Junkie, make sure you rewind. We'll definitely leave this up.
Oh, yeah. I have no intention of taking it down.
Yeah.
Spit Venom, did you just become a member?
The thing didn't come up.
No, I said Spit Venom.
I know, but the little member thing didn't come up.
Yeah, no, they're green.
I know, but what I'm saying is they didn't just become a member.
No, they might have going to the page.
But then it would say just Spit Venom just became a member.
No.
Remember the little green thing?
No. If they did it offline when we weren't online.
Oh, okay. Hello, Morty.
Because if you
have a great night, darling.
I want to welcome you if you did, because I don't remember you being one last week.
I'm not getting COVID full on drama. I'm good. Beth, it was a good night. It was a good night. Yeah, I agree with you there. All right. So is that it? We done?
Yeah, that's it. I do want to say Friday night, I did get the Coach wallets in.
Woo!
They're in their little ladies' night bag with the
ready
little
to go, ready to ship. Oh my gosh, I can't wait
to find out who the winners are on Friday night.
All right. So we'll do the drawing live Friday night.
Yes, we'll do it on Friday night. And we're also going to have a little fun with, I thought this would be fun, some Pinterest fails where people, find something on Pinterest, like baking a cake or doing other things. There's a lot of them. And then it shows side-by-side pictures of this is what it's supposed to look like. And it we say something like, nailed it, which they didn't. They didn't nail it. And they're hysterical. So we're gonna show some of those.
So we're gonna make fun of some people on Friday night. It'll be nice. Michaela, I love you, beautiful girl.
Yeah, we're gonna make fun of some people. I mean, they're just people, people that we don't know. There's no names or anything like that.
We're gonna make fun of some strangers. It'll be fine.
Yeah, we're gonna make some fun of strangers. So that would be fun to do, and some other things might pop up. We don't know yet.
That's right.
What's gonna?
We got some things in the works.
Yeah, we have some things in the works, but
there's some things in the works.
Yeah, there's always some things in the works.
Always. It's never quiet around here ever.
Okay. Oh, okay. So today you did. Okay. Well, welcome.
Welcome, Svetlana. I'm glad you're here.
Welcome. I don't know if you joined Launcher Mafia or Sophisticated Mamas, but either way, welcome. And I will check in my list to see. And any, because I do get a couple of new members that just happen, or they might upgrade or something. So I always go in and check.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Because I have to add them to that list.
Thank you, Michaela. Michaela sent me the best birthday card ever. And because I suck, I didn't get it until recently because I haven't been on Twitter. I don't go into my DMs on Twitter. I haven't answered my DMs in a long time. So anyway, sweet Michaela has been so patient waiting for me to respond to her birthday card that she actually sang a song, or had her little puppies sing a song to me.
Oh, how
super
cute.
Adorable.
How cute.
So cute and sweet. And I loved it. It was so nice. Thank you so much for doing that. That was very sweet of her.
I don't know if I have enough new members yet to add new emojis. I mean, I could switch out the emojis, but I don't know if I have enough members yet to add them on. So I might need new members to do that. But
Mac 11, do not encourage her with these emojis. Stop it.
Why? They're fine.
Because it's your Amazon store all over again.
Yeah, but they're free.
I understand. I understand.
You got to offer something. And listen, people, you can't have a members thing if you're not going to offer a lot of emojis.
That's true. You have to offer something. I know. Because what else are we going to give you all? Like, for real.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry, I meant to mute when I did that. Pardon me.
Well, there's flip-flops in there for you, too. That's why I put the flip-flops.
And there's an I love you for me. Everything else is Diane. There's an I love you for me. And then the little interpreter sign.
Yeah, I might have to look for another one.
I sent you the friends one. It's in your DMs.
Yeah, I know. And I made it to the size, and it's not, you can't really make it out too well. I need something that's a little bit more clear. So I might have to go look. But now that I know what it is, I can go and look.
Okay, good. Okay. Thank you.
There's Coco. Exactly. That is.
Oh, you ordered a mug? Thank you, Michaela.
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing we're going to do. I have someone working on some new merch that is not so much a ladies' night, that has ladies' night on it, but some cute things that you would wear. And I'm going to put them on tank tops and tees and things like that for the summer. And we're going to actually have a merch sale on Friday night because I have a 20% off code for everyone.
What company are we still? Teespring?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. God, sorry.
Of course, Teespring.
Sorry. Okay. Well, good. Nice. Great.
So we're going to have a merch sale to help the kids.
Okay. More for the kids. We love it.
Yeah, more for the kids. So hopefully I'll have that all done by Friday
Someone
night.
asked recently for proof that it's going to the kids. And I know that we've said it 1,000 times, but it's all. I
already showed it on Randy's stream.
It's all badged. It's all right there. It goes straight to the kids. You can read it for yourself. So don't yell at us for proof. It's all right there. Well, and are we going to show them on Friday night? We'll show them the screenshot that you took.
Yeah, well, I showed it on Randy's because that night Laura said, prove it.
Right.
Profits go to St. Jude. So I
Laura, of course it was.
Screenshot of my analytics, and it says right there, donation. And of course I showed the badges as well.
Right.
Now on the new items, I have to work quickly because what you have to do now, that they used to have it where you can just choose on the site from, hundreds of places. Now I have to do it manually. I've had to do that for the past couple of months. I have to write to them and say, badge this, badge that, anything that's in this particular topic, badge it. So I have to do that. I have to do it manually.
Okay. Trisha says, Wendy, I'm patiently waiting for an air conditioner update. Just saying. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about my Psycho air conditioner. So the guy said that I needed a new circuit board, right? And then he left, and I've not heard from them. I don't know if he's ordered the circuit board. I don't know. That night, my air conditioner kicked on by itself again, like it heals itself again. And it's been working ever since. Because remember that night I went into the other room and I was like, oh my gosh, my air conditioner's on, right? So my air conditioner is on, and it's been on. It's been able to run for the past, since whenever that was, last week, I guess. Right. So now it's working. So now I don't know what to do if he orders this circuit board. I don't know even if he's ordered this circuit board. I don't know if he's coming back. And I'm too scared to go over. Yes, it started up and froze me to death. Yes, that's right. So it started up and froze me to death. I was too scared to go turn it down or turn it off because I want it to work and I don't want to touch anything that'll possibly ruin that. So now I've just left it. And when it gets too cold, I hop under a blanket and the rest of the day I'm fine. So I don't know. That's it. I don't know what's happening with this repair. This is the oddest repair ever. It's broken when they get here, then they leave and it works. I don't get it. I don't understand what's happening.
No, that's the way it goes.
I don't understand what's happening. It's weird to me.
That's the way.
If it's haunted, then great. Thank you, Dad, Oliver, whoever is doing this for me. Appreciate it. Thank you. But please don't let my house explode. Like, that's the thing I'm worried about. Like, what if it short circuits somewhere in my attic and my house catches on fire? That would be bad.
Now you're thinking about silly things.
I know. I hope there's not a short, and I hope nothing burns down.
I'm sure it's going to be fine. I just think it's weird. But that's usually what happens when, you need something fixed and then you bring it to wherever it needs to be fixed. But wait a minute.
It's just weird to me that this is now twice that this person has come up, or not this exact person, but, the company has sent a repair person here. This is twice now that they've been here, and then they walk away and it works after they leave. I don't understand.
Oh, well.
It's so weird.
Hopefully it'll be fine and you won't need to get that circuit board replaced.
Well, I don't mind replacing the circuit board if it needs to be replaced. Max says that the circuit board would pop off and shut down. Okay, so I don't have to worry about it like causing a short and setting my house on fire, right? I don't have to think about that, right?
That's right. He healed your air. Anything can happen. It's 2020.
That's right. So you're welcome, Lanky. Love you, honey. Okay. Thank you, Mac 11. Okay. So I'm not going to worry about my house catching on fire. I'm just going to enjoy my air conditioner. It's very nice. I'm very thankful for it. I don't know if this guy's coming back or not. I have no idea. I would figured that somebody would want money at some point. Like, are they going to call me and get paid? I don't understand what they're waiting for.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Maybe I'm going to have to call them and find out what the hell happened.
All right, so I think we're going to go. I think this was a great night. I think we had no problems in here. We didn't have crazy people coming in. We didn't have trolls coming in. It was a good night.
Yeah, it was good.
It was a good night. It was an informative night. Again, thank you to Sarah and Brandon. Thank you to Mandy, and thank you to Miss Anonymous, who came up and was, courageous enough to share what's going on in her life. And thank you all for coming in here and sharing what was going on with you as well.
Yes.
And for being here for the support. We
appreciate it very much. Yes.
So we will.
All right. See you Friday night, everybody.
Friday night.
Have a great week. Behave yourselves.
Yes. Everybody be good.
Be good.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Love you.